subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Watching Yi Hongchen mutter. Yi Hongchen felt this power and wanted to vent it loudly. This solo power is really enjoyable. In the next second, Yi Hongchen moved his feet, and the space in front seemed to be distorted, and Yi Hongchen's body flashed out. At this time, Yi Hongchen had already arrived in front of King Zhou. You are King Shang Zhou. Chapter 0083. Destroying Ziyu. You are King Shang Zhou. At this moment, Yi Hongchen's dark eyes looked at King Shang Zhou, who was kneeling on one knee, and said lightly. Looking at Yi Hongchen, King Shang Zhou couldn't help but feel a sense of fear, and the pressure on his body increased again. Yes, it is King Shang Zhou who is about to destroy the divine power. Hey! King Shang Zhou shouted loudly. His hands suddenly opened, and the wings on his back suddenly shook. The blood-colored wings could actually maintain his red color under Yi Hongchen's colorless realm divine power. Huh? Want to get up? Yi Hongchen said lightly when he saw King Shang Zhou's body trembling, as if he could stand up with a little more strength. When the words fell, Yi Hongchen slowly raised his foot. A powerful force immediately fixed King Shang Zhou and kicked King Zhou severely on the chin. King Zhou suddenly flew out like a kite with a broken line. Boom! After falling to the ground, a big hole suddenly appeared. Too weak. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, turned to look inside Chaoga City, and a tall building suddenly fell into his sight. The highest floor of Chaoga City, Zhanxing Building, and above the star-picking tower, there seemed to be two people standing. What? At this moment, a burst of anger sounded. The shirtless King Shang Zhou, holding two swords in his hand, could actually kill towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen stretched out a hand to block it in front of him. Something as gray as a wall suddenly appeared in front of him. Boom! A burst of air instantly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen. The body of King Shang Zhou flew out suddenly. Ho-ho! Just when King Shang Zhou was about to fly upside down, two black dragon heads suddenly appeared behind Yi Hongchen, steadily biting on King Shang Zhou's shoulders. What? Once bitten by two black dragon heads, King Shang Zhou only felt that the bones all over his body seemed to be misplaced. It's quite capable of struggling. Yi Hongchen controlled the black dragon behind him, just like his own arm, with great ease. Call! The next moment, a black dragon head appeared again behind him, plunged into the body of King Shang Zhou. Puff! King Shang Zhou spit out blood again, and the whole person began to become decadent. God, is it really that powerful? Even with the phoenix, there is no resistance at all. When he felt his vitality was quickly dissipating, King Shang Zhou couldn't help but feel low. Ho-ho-ho! At this moment, Yi Hongchen felt that a golden sword appeared behind him, flying towards him quickly. When? The next moment, after the golden giant sword fell on the colorless wall, it stopped moving forward, as if it was blocked by something. Ziyu. Yi Hongchen turned slowly, and what caught his eye was a white-haired man. At this moment, his body was all wounded, but he still stared at Yi Hongchen coldly. In the next second, Yi Hongchen shot out with a palm. Ziyu's body was actually hit by something, and he flew out fiercely. Ha ha! Great Sword Master happy. When Ziyu was about to hit the Chaoga City wall, Shing suddenly emerged from the wall, and the next moment, a punch fell on Ziyu's back fiercely. Ziyu flew upside down again and fell outside the colorless wall of Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen led King Shang Zhou, walked slowly in front of Ziyu, and slapped him severely. Boom! On the ground, a big pit appeared again. All the key training in Ziyu's body dissipated under the palm of Yi Hongchen, was actually scrapped by Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen looked at Shing coldly and said coldly, leave it to you. Chapter 0084. Just touch it today after speaking. The black dragon that plunged into King Shang Zhou's body instantly drilled out, leaving King Zhou's body with a big hole in it. Yi Hongchen relentlessly stepped on King Shang Zhou's body again, and another big hole was opened on the ground. Ding! Congratulations to the host. You successfully killed one of the protagonists. There is still one protagonist and a tentative heroine before the task is completed. The cold electronic sound of the system sounded in Yi Hongchen's mind, and King Shangzhou was already lying in the pit, motionless. In the next second, the pair of blood-colored wings behind him suddenly turned into a blood-colored light, slowly dissipating. Yi Hongchen's thoughts moved. The colorless divine power immediately dissipated, and the surrounding scenery was changing, and it didn't take long for it to return to its original color. Black smoke came up a mess. Yi Hongchen slowly lifted into the air, took a deep look at the star-picking tower, then flew back to the Black Dragon, looking at the gods who were still standing on the Black Dragon's head. Next, you solve it. Xin Yuekui, follow me in. After Yi Hongchen said faintly, he flew to the Black Dragon's mouth, and the Black Dragon suddenly opened his huge mouth. Enduring the nausea in his heart, Yi Hongchen and Xin Yuekui entered the belly of the Black Dragon together. After sitting on the chair with two Black Dragons, Yi Hongchen looked at the agitated Xin Yuekui. Dear God, I don't know. What's the point of you calling me here alone? Xin Yuekui said with a charming voice, bowing towards Yi Hongchen slightly. Her clothes were very revealing, and once she kicked her body, the white before the fierceness suddenly fell into Yi Hongchen's eyes. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but swallowed secretly, resisting the evil fire in his heart, and asked, Xin Yuekui, can your emptiness realm divine power be able to perceive those betrayers? The betrayers are the people who left the Protoss. Those people eventually became the protagonist Wu Geng's partners and subordinates, named Shini Inbu. As for Yi Hongchen looking for this divine hidden department, he didn't have any special thoughts, just wanted to try. Is that Alan one of the tentative heroines? Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Xin Yuekui was taken aback for a while, and then said deeply, Hui Tian, because my strength is still too weak to know the specific location of the Shinin department. I don't know the specific location? That is to say, can you know the approximate location? Yi Hongchen frowned upon hearing this. Yes, then where is the position you can know? Yi Hongchen continued to ask. Xin Yuekui walked slowly to Yi Hongchen's side and whispered the approximate location with his ears. Well, let's go back. Yi Hongchen made a big move, and the Black Dragon outside immediately escaped into the sky. God, don't you want to vent it? Xin Yuekui didn't walk away, but instead held Yi Hongchen's hand with one hand and said full of temptation. As he said, holding Yi Hongchen's hand, he slowly pulled towards his stalwart place. But I don't like to touch a woman that others have touched. You are too dirty. Yi Hongchen pulled his hand back and said without leaving any affection. Xin Yuekui's body trembled when he heard Yi Hongchen's words, and a very strange expression appeared on her face. My God, I haven't touched any other man. You are the first man I want to touch. Yi Hongchen heard this. A pair of dark eyes suddenly felt a chill, but it disappeared. You know, the Xin Yuekui in the original book has been touched by many men, and they don't know how many boyfriends there are. It's not to blame for his reaction. Never touched? Then touch it today. Chapter 0085. Into the hidden department of God 1. I haven't touched it? Then touch it today. Yi Hongchen grabbed Xin Yuekui's wrist and directly pulled her over and sat on his lap. God, you really hate it. Xin Yuekui sat on Yi Hongchen's lap, and after hearing the meaning of Yi Hongchen's words, she said softly, Then do you like it? Yi Hongchen smiled faintly, but walked up on Xin Yuekui's body very dishonestly. I like it, but unfortunately, my eyes can no longer see, and I can only rely on the divine power of the empty consciousness to investigate. It's okay today, I am your eyes. Yi Hongchen didn't care, and after continuing to speak, he immediately started something that belonged to a real man. Over a forest full of fluorescence, a huge black dragon flew through the sky and inadvertently opened its mouth. Wearing an extremely supple black suit, Yi Hongchen flew out of the black dragon's big mouth. In the big mouth, a purple and black Xin Yuekui stood there, feeling the Yi Hongchen flying out, and whispered, God, come back as soon as possible. People miss you. When Yi Hongchen heard Xin Yuekui's words, He couldn't help but laugh and said lightly, "Don't worry, I will be back soon. Before this time, if a man enters your room, I will kill him and you." It's not that Yi Hongchen's unfeeling, but in the original work, Xin Yuekui's temperament is really too sy. He is not willing to share a woman with other men. God, what are you talking about? There's only one man in my room who can enter, and that is the Lord of the Gods, God. When Xin Yuekui heard Yi Hongchen's words, not only did he not feel disgusted in his heart, but on the contrary, he became more fond of Yi Hongchen. Her favorite is this kind of strong person. The stronger, the less resistant she is. Yi Hongchen didn't say a word. The next moment, the whole person disappeared and instantly disappeared in front of Xin Yuekui. The black dragon also slowly closed his big mouth, and when he moved his body, he disappeared into the sky above him. Because this is the dark night, the black dragon's complexion is black again, and the strength is extremely high, so no one can perceive the black dragon. After Yi Hongchen fell on the ground, he looked at the lake in front of him, lost in thought. At this time, Wu Geng was afraid that he was still asleep, and he would look for a goose body, the words of Huxia Cabbage, when the sun appeared. It's too young, so he will leave it to Wu Geng's little kid. Therefore, Yi Hongchen's current goal is Alan, and she doesn't know if she is one of the tentative heroines. I don't know if any of them has seen the sky. No, that Fuxi has already seen it, otherwise it would not have been the high priest. Yi Hongchen lowered his head slightly, looked at his feet without shoes, and then at his slender black nails. Yes, Yi Hongchen's eyes lit up and suddenly thought of a way. Hey, I don't know how long this kind of life will be. The Protoss doesn't seem to plan to search us. A man in a straw suit, with a basket behind him, walked in the middle of the forest, sighing while pulling out herbs and throwing them into the basket behind him. You can only complain here. If this is heard by the high priest, you must look down on you. The man who was also wearing a straw suit gave the previous man a punch somewhat helplessly. Call. Just as the two were talking, the green flowers and trees around them all lost their color at this moment. The two men in straw clothes suddenly lost their voices, and their movements came to a halt. Chapter 0086. Infiltrating God's Hidden Subordinates Call. In the next second, a breeze blew by, and the flowers and trees that had lost their colors returned to their original form. But the two men in straw clothes were already lying on the ground, motionless. Blood was dripping from the corners of their mouths. Yi Hongchen's slender body stood in front of them, looking at the straw clothes on them. The corners of his mouth twitched. Forget it. Although the clothes are too rough but for the task, bear it. Yi Hongchen rudely pulled the straw clothes off a man and secretly said in his heart. After Yi Hongchen changed into the gorgeous and soft black clothes and put on the straw clothes, he directly dealt with the clothes with the two men, and then walked towards the place where the two men had come. Although Yi Hongchen changed into the straw clothes, she still looked like an extremely noble human race. Yi Hongchen thought about it, cut through several wounds on his body with divine power, and even broke the straw clothes with his divine power, and the black nails turned white with colorless divine power. Next, as long as you don't use colorless divine power, you won't be seen. Yi Hongchen thought for a while, looking at himself reflected in the lake. A pair of smooth white hair scattered on his back. A pair of dark eyes still revealed domineering Ling Ran, and his domineering temperament was still not concealed by the straw clothes. Yi Hongchen looked at his still perfect self and sighed softly. It's too difficult. Then, as if thinking of something, a gap was torn from the straw clothes on his body, covering his eyes like a blind person. In a clearing in the forest, there are many houses, all of which are earthen houses, just like the tribes of ancient human races. Here is the hidden part of God. The location of the hidden part of the gods is very hidden. At night, in the Chenin department, people who went out to hunt for food were going back and forth, and several children were very happy to play and play. Suddenly, a man wearing a straw shirt with no idea how many scars ran out of the forest. His expression panicked and his face pale. It hit a big rock in the midfield all at once and attracted the attention of the crowd and the tribe. Who is this? Why haven't I seen it in the Chenin department? A middle-aged man looked at the man, looking 20 years old, and asked in confusion. Anyway, he can find us here, and the Protoss will definitely be able to find it. Otherwise, the other man didn't finish, but made a gesture of wiping his neck. Don't do this. What is the difference between us and the tyrannical Protoss? A fat man shook his head, then walked to the man who hit the stone and lay on the ground. Boy, who are you? Yin Zhongzi asked quietly while looking at Yi Hongchen. That's right. The man lying on the ground is Yi Hongchen. Help me. Help me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Yi Hongchen stretched out his hand and grabbed Yin Zhongzi's hand with a panicked look. Yin Zhongzi was shocked when he saw Yi Hongchen's appearance, and everyone else was stunned. What's the matter? At this moment, a woman in a green dress walked slowly, looking a little bit beautiful, but her belly was a little big, as if she was pregnant. There was another woman next to her, who was so beautiful. She was even better than Xin Yuekui. As soon as Yin Zhongzi saw the woman, he felt as if he had a backbone, and pointed to Yi Hongchen and said, Peacock, you can be regarded as coming. This kid doesn't know where he came from. So he kept saying, save him. Chapter 0087. Alan's Temptation. Oh, boy, why did you say to save you? Peacock heard the words and asked with doubts on his face, looking at Yi Hongchen. When the peacock questioned, all the people of the hidden part of the gods who were present suddenly fell silent and looked at Yi Hongchen one after another. And even the beautiful women around the peacock looked at Yi Hongchen. My family, all were killed by the Protoss. They didn't find me running away, but I'm still scared. Can you save me? Yi Hongchen stood up directly. His face was pale, plus his expression and the meaning of the words suddenly made Peacock and the others no doubt. The Protoss? You said the Protoss killed your whole family? Why'd they do this? Although he believed Yi Hongchen's words, the peacock did not stop questioning. Fortunately, Yi Hongchen had already prepared well, and a set of rhetoric came out instantly. What? Are you saying that the Protoss is already in Chaoga City, and a large-scale war has broken out? After hearing this, the peacock couldn't help but be surprised. Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, and even made a panic expression. Alan, you can help me to familiarize him with the hidden department of God. I'm going to see the situation. After Peacock said to the woman next to him, he took a few people and ran out of the forest. It turns out that she is Alan. It's so beautiful that I haven't dreamed farewell. After Yi Hongchen heard what the peacock said, he couldn't help but glance at Alan and said in his heart, Okay, come with me. Alan said very coldly after seeing the peacock leave. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen limped and slowly followed Alan. At this time, he had to be extremely vigilant. Otherwise, it would be difficult to complete the task if he showed his feet. Considering the state of Yi Hongchen at the moment, Alan couldn't help but relax. Soon, a wooden house with no houses beside it appeared in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes, and Alan also stopped. You will live here in the future, but our God-hidden department never raises idlers. If you're injured, you have to work. Alan slowly turned around, looking at Yi Hongchen, her expression unchanged, and said coldly. Yi Hongchen nodded, but didn't have any comments. Instead, in order to deepen the truth of his words, he pretended to be a tentative expression. Can you really save me? Those people are all gods. When Alan heard the words, she did not speak, but instead stretched out her hand, and a light yellow butterfly flew into the palm of her hand. In the next moment, the butterfly flew towards the big rock under Yi Hongchen's feet. Bang! Such a big rock was smashed into pieces by such a small butterfly. At the moment the stone broke apart, Yi Hongchen was like a bird with a bow, sitting on the ground with a scared butt, and then as if involved in a wound. He rolled his eyes, fainted, and fell heavily to the ground. Seeing this, Alan, who had a cold look, couldn't help but ease down and muttered, Is it really a coincidence? Obviously, Alan's hand just now was to test Yi Hongchen while showing her strength to Yi Hongchen. If Yi Hongchen was not an ordinary person, he would definitely not be shocked when he saw the stone burst suddenly. But now, Yi Hongchen was frightened and even seemed to be injured by it. This involuntarily made Alan put down his vigilance against Yi Hongchen and walk towards Yi Hongchen slowly. One hand fell on Yi Hongchen's arm. As if carrying a chicken, he lifted Yi Hongchen into the room. After covering the quilt for Yi Hongchen, Alan walked out of the room, not knowing what she was doing. Chapter 0088. Let Alan teach martial arts. The moment Elan walked out, Yi Hongchen, who was lying on the bed, suddenly opened his eyes. It's dangerous. I didn't expect her perception to be so sharp. Yi Hongchen sat up, secretly startled. Just now, it was almost a bit slow. His reaction was slow, and then he would show up. The next day, Peacock and others have already returned, all with serious expressions, apparently secretly going to Chaoga City. After seeing the situation in Chaoga City, naturally, there was no doubt about Yi Hongchen's words. And Yi Hongchen was also assigned a job by Elan, which was the work of winemaking. Fortunately, Yi Hongchen also had some experience, and he insisted on doing the winemaking work perfectly. He even became a confidant with some drunkards, fooling around together at night. Of course, it was all those drunks chatting with Yi Hongchen as observers. On the third night, Yi Hongchen, who was packing up the wine shop, stopped what he was busy with because he saw Elan coming over. Alan walked to Yi Hongchen's wine shop, as cold as ever, and slowly said, "Bring me some pots of spirits." "Okay, wait a minute." Yi Hongchen responded slightly, then turned around and picked up a red wine bottle and placed it on the table in front of Elan. After Alan thanked him, she took the wine jar and slowly left. Yi Hongchen hurriedly followed. Plus tonight, it would be the third day, and if there is not much progress, there will not be much time left for him. "Alan, can you teach me some fighting skills?" Yi Hongchen walked beside Alan, asking pretentiously, "What do you want to learn?" Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Alan stopped and looked at Yi Hongchen's handsome and extraordinary face. "I want to avenge my family. I want to kill those gods." Yi Hongchen lowered his head, and his words were full of murderous intent, which made Alan feel shocked. However, after hearing Yi Hongchen's words, he shook his head slightly and said lightly, "The fighting skills alone can't kill the people of the Protoss. Even if it hurts them, it is very difficult." "How can it hurt them?" Yi Hongchen pretended to be puzzled and raised his head. "You need divine power, and you are an individual." Alan said, shook her head slightly. "Anyway, I want to learn too. Alan, can you teach me?" Yi Hongchen did not give up but insisted. Seeing Yi Hongchen's appearance, Alan's ghost nodded slightly. "Great, great." Yi Hongchen saw this, and when Elan was unprepared, he hugged Elan all of a sudden with great surprise. This surprise was not pretended by Yi Hongchen, but real, because after 3 days, he finally took a step forward. Feeling the temperature of Yi Hongchen's body, Elan instinctively wanted to kick Yi Hongchen away, but after thinking that he was just an ordinary person, she stopped again. "Okay, let go," Elan said in a deep voice. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchen also forcibly suppressed the desire in his heart, quickly let go of Elan, turned his head, and did not dare to look at Elan. I don't know why. Even after his body has become Tion's body, there's always such a kind of evil fire desire. Looking at Yi Hongchen, Alan's expression changed involuntarily, as if she didn't know how to teach him, but she just agreed again. "Come with me." After a long while, Elan continued coldly. After speaking, Elan took the wine jar and walked into the forest. Yi Hongchen also hurriedly followed. Above a clearing, there are many fireflies at night, and the faint green light illuminates this open space, the beauty of emptiness. Chapter 0089. Ambiguous night. Yi Hongchen and Alan slowly walked into the open space. The fireflies did not seem to be afraid of life and did not fly away. Instead, they acted as a beacon for them. "Yi Hongchen, since I promised to teach you fighting, I will be your teacher from tonight." After placing the wine jar on the ground, Alan looked at Yi Hongchen and said lightly, "That's right. The name Yi Hongchen used in the Shinin department was his real name." After seeing Yi Hongchen nodding, Alan directly assumed a fighting pose and continued, "I don't use divine power. You try to attack me with all your strength." "Full force? If I use my full strength, I am afraid that I will accidentally kill you, and it will really matter if I can't complete the task by then." Yi Hongchen muttered in his heart with a twitch of the corners of his mouth when he heard Alan's words. Yi Hongchen, after seeing that Yi Hongchen didn't even move at all, Alan couldn't help but urged. Yi Hongchen's expression became extremely solemn when he heard the words and said seriously, "Okay, then I will attack." After speaking, Yi Hongchen suppressed his physical strength to the lowest level and ran towards Alan. After arriving in front of Alan, Yi Hongchen punched Ahu under the armpit. Alan stepped back and avoided Yi Hongchen's fist directly. His backhand was a palm printed on Yi Hongchen's fierce chamber. Bang! Yi Hongchen flew upside down and fell heavily to the ground. Before Yi Hongchen could stand up, Alan kicked his legs and jumped up to a full 3 meters high, stepping on Yi Hongchen with one foot. Yi Hongchen hurriedly turned over and rolled to the left. Alan suddenly landed on Yi Hongchen's original position. Before Yi Hongchen turned far away, Alan raised her leg again and pressed it towards Yi Hongchen. But Yi Hongchen seemed to know that Alan would continue to attack him. But a somersault came, and the whole person stood up directly. Alan's leg fell through again. This guy, the combat experience seems to be a bit high. No wonder he was able to escape to the hidden part of the gods. Seeing that Yi Hongchen was able to avoid her attack twice in a row, Alan couldn't help but secretly said in her heart, "Be careful." Yi Hongchen stood up and rushed towards Alan again, sweeping towards Alan's leg with one foot. Alan leaped all over and directly gave Yi Hongchen a knee and fell to the ground under Yi Hongchen's body, and the whole person was also sitting on Yi Hongchen's abdomen. Although there is some combat experience, it is still too shallow. If you didn't want to sweep me, but kicked into my abdomen, I would inevitably retreat. At that time, you will be able to attack me continuously, but you will not. Alan's knees were resting on Yi Hongchen's fierce chamber, and the whole person was sitting on Yi Hongchen's abdomen, her expression unchanged, and she explained towards Yi Hongchen, "But with my strength, it is impossible to defeat you with those combos, right?" Yi Hongchen looked at Alan's eyes, didn't seem to notice that the two of them were a little ambiguous, and asked back. Hearing this, Alan's Lu eyebrows couldn't help but frowned, and her tone turned cold. "Then you don't have supernatural power, and you still want to kill God? I can attack it. Even if he is a god, he will pay the price." Yi Hongchen heard Alan's tone turning cold, and then he remembered what reason he used to let Alan teach him a fight. Offensive. Yes, just like this. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, his legs were immediately retracted, and his knees pressed against Alan's back. Alan's whole body suddenly fell forward and fell over Yi Hongchen's head. Yi Hongchen was so fast that he was actually back pressure on Alan's body. Chapter 0090. Watching the moon at night, Yi Hongchen pressed on Alan's body, with his hands pressed against Alan's face and his feet on the ground, but he sat on Alan's abdomen. "Alan, is it okay for me to attack him?" It was Yi Hongchen who looked at Alan so closely and couldn't help asking. Although Alan is not as good as a real stunning woman, such as the Dream Farewell, she belongs to the type that looks more and more attractive. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, she was taken aback when she saw Alan. Looking at Yi Hongchen in front of her, Alan's heartbeat accelerated involuntarily, especially when she smelled the smell of Yi Hongchen. Her cold face couldn't help but blush. "Aren't you getting up soon? I can't guarantee that my assassination butterfly will not hurt you." Seeing that Yi Hongchen had no intention of getting up, Alan couldn't help but continue. After speaking, the yellowish butterfly suddenly appeared in front of Yi Hongchen and Alan's two faces. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen couldn't help feeling a little helpless. He slowly stood up and said apologetically, Alan, I'm sorry, I didn't notice just now." Alan also stood up immediately after Yi Hongchen, patted the debris on her body, and couldn't help rolling her eyes at Yi Hongchen. Walking to a big wooden root and sitting down, Alan picked up the wine jar with one hand and drank it heroically. But it was just a sip, and suddenly couldn't bear the strong wine and squirted it out in one sip. Coincidentally, as soon as Yi Hongchen walked over, he was directly sprayed by Alan with a sip of wine. At this moment, Yi Hongchen and Alan couldn't help but froze together. "Alan, what do you mean? Is it a public revenge?" Just when Alan thought Yi Hongchen would be angry, Yi Hongchen smiled faintly and slowly said while sitting beside her, "Just you, an ordinary person, Do you still need me to avenge my personal revenge? Alon couldn't help but sneered Yi Hongchun and continued to drink the boring wine. And Yi Hongchun sat beside Alon, looking straight at the bright crescent moon in the sky. What are you looking at? Alon waited for a long time, but didn't hear Yi Hongchun's voice. She couldn't help turning her head and asked slightly. Hearing the words, Yi Hongchun turned his head slowly. Just when he was about to speak, he saw Alon with a flushing face, and he was taken aback. At this time, Alan looked extremely attractive because she drank too much, causing her short sweater to droop a little. The general snow-white flesh was exposed, and his face was red, and there was some blur in his eyes. It was completely different from the cold appearance over the past 3 days, and Yi Hongchun couldn't help being stunned. What are you doing? Alon stopped talking after hearing Yi Hongchun halfway, and immediately continued to ask with some dissatisfaction. Yi Hongchun turned his head slightly embarrassed, looked at the sky on the dark night, and whispered, "The moonlight is so beautiful tonight. I can't help but take a few more glances." Hearing this, Alan couldn't help but raised her head and looked at the night sky. The countless stars and the semicircular crescent moon looked extremely bright. Yi Hongchun, do you want to hear about my past? Alan looked for a long time and said suddenly, If you want to say something, then I would like to hear it. Yi Hongchun couldn't help turning his head when he heard what Alan said and took a look at her. At this moment, Alan's face is still flushed, and I don't know if it is the reason for the alcohol. I had a husband before. Later, under the attack of the Protoss, he sacrificed honorably in order to protect our hidden ministry. Alan looked at the crescent moon in the sky and said slowly after taking a sip of wine. Chapter 0091. The Peeping Man. He is a warrior, a great and powerful warrior. Alan turned her head and looked at Yi Hongchun and said, "He's dead. I'll protect you from now on." Yi Hongchun nodded slightly, looked at Alan's eyes, and said seriously, "Puff, protect me? You are a human race. One is not divine, and the other is not as strong as me. What do you use to protect me?" When Alan heard Yi Hongchun's words, she couldn't help but chuckle for a few seconds. This was the third night that Yi Hongchun came to the Shinin department and saw Alan smiling in front of him for the first time. "Indeed, I am a human race without divine power, not as strong as you, but I can save you with my life." Yi Hongchun smiled lightly. The serious expression on his face was even more obvious, and the tone fell in Alan's ears, so sincere, as if Yi Hongchun would really block his life in front of him. "Your life? Is your life so valuable?" Alan shook her head slightly, continued to take a sip of wine, and looked towards the sky. Seeing this, Yi Hongchun immediately stretched out his hand, grabbed the wine jar from Alan's hand, and gave himself a sip. For the next 3 days, Yi Hongchun made wine during the day and went to fight Alan at night. Although he lost to Alan every night, one night he forced Alan to use his supernatural power at least. This made Alan a little surprised. It's a pity that Yi Hongchun is an ordinary person. Otherwise, he would be a genius with rapid progress. That day, Yi Hongchun was still in the wine shop, sitting on a chair somewhat bored. "Yi Hongchun, would you like to collect some herb for me? It's better to be a healing medicine, Xylin KO." At this moment, a fat man holding a wine gourd came to Yi Hongchun and said with a grin. Yi Hongchun nodded slightly when he heard the words, just because he was still okay. "All right, then you have to look at the wine shop for me." After Yi Hongchun finished speaking, he entered the wine shop, carried a straw basket on his back, and walked towards the forest. After Yi Hongchun came to the forest, he collected a few herbs at random, and then he came to a somewhat empty place. If this continues, 10 days will pass, and the progress is too slow. So I have to think about it. Yi Hongchun murmured. Suddenly, there was a burst of divine power in his hand, colorless divine power. Call. After a breeze, a grayish white, like a hueless eagle, suddenly appeared. Yi Hongchun wrote a few words to the eagle with his fingers in the air, and those words suddenly entered the eagle's body. After doing all this, Yi Hongchun let go of the eagle, and the eagle immediately flew into the sky and flew northward. That direction is surprisingly the place of the Protoss, God's domain. Yi Hongchun watched the surroundings vigilantly, and hurriedly hurried back after he found no one. As a result, he stopped when he passed a lake, because there was a woman who was taking a bath there, and the cold in the water came out of mist. That is, Alan. Yi Hongchen hid behind a tree, looking at the woman taking a shower in front of him. The back of the woman was very white, because she was facing Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen only saw the back, so she was not sure of the identity of the woman. Who? Suddenly, the woman seemed to feel Yi Hongchen. With a small move, a group of pale yellow assassination butterflies immediately surrounded her. Yi Hongchen naturally thought that he was discovered and just wanted to go out, but did not expect another person to come out suddenly. A long purple dress, very fashionable hair, and some ordinary faces with evil smiles. Alan, it's me. The man walked from the grass to the lake and said while looking at Alan. Chapter 0092. Using unknown black power assassin butterfly directly brought Alan's clothes that had fallen on the shore to Alan's face. Alan took it and stood in front of her. Looking at the man in purple, Lou frowned. Zidian, what are you doing here? Alan said with an ugly face, very dissatisfied. Of course, come and see you. Zidian still has a smile on his face. After speaking, Zidian turned into a purple thunder and lightning, and immediately entered the lake, walking towards Alan step by step. Zidian, quickly get out of my sight. Can't you hear it? Alan controlled the assassination butterfly with one hand, while looking at Zidian with great solemnity. Alan, I am true. I like you very much. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have come to this damn hidden secret department. Why don't you understand it? Zidian stopped. The smile on his face gradually disappeared. Looking at Alan, there was a touch of persistence in his eyes. Zidian, if you leave now, I won't tell the peacock and the high priest. Don't force me. Alan's expression remained unchanged, looking at Zidian, and said solemnly, Alan, don't tell them. I will leave now. Zidian seemed to be frightened when he heard Alan's words, and slowly backed away. After he stepped back 3 steps, Alan's expression could not help but loosened, and the purple lightning turned into a purple thunder and lightning. And he came to Alan's face in an instant, grasping Alan's delicate hand with one hand. A purple thunder and lightning suddenly appeared on Alan's body. Alan's whole body suddenly became completely stiff, and she looked at Zidian with extremely embarrassed expression. Alan, don't blame me. I really like you too much, but you have no feeling for me at all. I can only do this. Zidian held Alan's hand in one hand and said softly to Alan, if you do this, you will definitely be punished by the high priest and the peacock. Alan wanted to move, but the numbness on her body couldn't be pushed away, and she couldn't move. Alan, the high priest is no longer in the hidden department, peacock? Haha, it's not as important as you. As long as I get you, I won't regret anything. A wicked smile appeared on Zidian's face again. After speaking, he wanted to hug Alan in his arms, but a big rock suddenly flew over. The location was just behind Zidian. Even if Zidian stepped aside from this falling position, it would not hurt Alan. Who? After seeing a big rock flying, Zidian struck it out with one hand, and the purple thunder and lightning instantly destroyed the entire stone, shouting with an ugly look. Yi Hongchen walked out from behind a tree, with a faint smile on his face, and sarcastically said to Zidian, unexpectedly, I saw a real Overlord King bow in the Shenin department. TSK Tusk, it's really thick-skinned. It's you, kid. I saw you not pleasing to your eyes a long time ago. If you get out of my sight now, I will spare your life. After seeing Yi Hongchen, Zidian's expression was a little gloomy. You want to forcibly take the woman I like and still want me to do nothing happen? Yi Hongchen took a step closer and stretched out a hand, using the black power in his body. Hoo-hoo-hoo. In the next moment, a burst of black air appeared in front of Yi Hongchen, and finally a black longsword was transformed into it. Yi Hongchen held directly on the hilt with one hand, and a powerful airflow suddenly erupted from his body. What kind of power is he? Obviously, I can't feel the breath of divine power. Alan's heart was slightly shaken when he saw Yi Hongchen's appearance. Boy, it seems that you're not an ordinary person. You're not hiding. What is the purpose of coming to the hidden department of God? Zidian slowly walked towards Yi Hongchen and asked. Chapter 0093. Yi Hongchen versus Zidian. Yi Hongchen looked at Zidian with a flat face and said faintly, I came here naturally to avoid the Protoss. Secondly, I will kill you, such an overlord. Death. Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Zidian's complexion condensed, and the next moment, the whole person turned into a purple thunder and lightning, and came to Yi Hongchen's front. Yi Hongchen directly lifted the black sword and placed it in front of him, and Zidian slammed his fist on the black sword. Be careful of his thunder and lightning. Alan couldn't help reminding him when he saw this in the lake. The next moment, a purple thunder and lightning followed the black sword and began to drill towards Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen directly released the hilt, and Zidian fell to the ground with the black sword. Boy, without a weapon, let me see how you fight against me. Upon seeing this, Zidian was overjoyed. Yi Hongchen didn't answer, but raised her slender thigh and kicked it towards Zidian's face. Buzz! Zidian turned into a thunder and lightning, and instantly disappeared in front of Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen's leg suddenly fell to nothing. Be careful behind! Alan yelled again after seeing a burst of purple light behind Yi Hongchen. Dragon Shadow! Hearing this, Yi Hongchen swept across, leaving behind shadows wherever his legs passed. As soon as Zidian came out behind Yi Hongchen, he was directly swept to the bottom plate with a sword by Yi Hongchen, and he immediately began to fall with his feet forward and his head backward. But before Zidian completely dropped to the ground, Yi Hongchen's next attack arrived. Dragon Fist. Yi Hongchen slammed his fist on Zidian's uncontrollable body. All of a sudden, Zidian was hit by Yi Hongchen and flew out, knocking down several big trees. Bang! After finally falling to the ground, a pit in the shape of a human figure was hit. Yi Hongchen quickly picked up the black long sword above the ground and looked at Zidian's position with a plain expression. When Alan in the lake saw it, her face was shocked. Her eyes looked at Yi Hongchen, and her heart suddenly became suspicious. He looks very powerful. Although he does not have supernatural power, he is extremely rich in combat experience, which is not the experience that he could have a few days ago. Cough, cough. Zidian slowly stood up from the ground, looking at Yi Hongchen with a pair of hazy eyes. Boy, it's pretty strong. In the next second, Zidian clenched his hands tightly, and a burst of purple light suddenly appeared in his hands. Boom! A purple thunder and lightning rushed towards Yi Hongchen instantly, and the huge power directly burned all the places it had passed into ashes. Damn, the divine power of this level of strength, without using the divine power, can't resist it at all. Yi Hongchen looked at the purple thunder and lightning that was flying over, his expression a little ugly. Although he could use the black energy in his body, he didn't have much. It seemed that he could only use the colorless divine power to use that black power. But the divine power here is not a low-level divine power. It is not innately able to resist. Come. Yi Hongchen said in a low voice. The next moment, a sword swung toward the purple thunder and lightning. Call. A black sword aura was barely condensed by Yi Hongchen, but it was a pity that it was instantly shattered by purple lightning. Bang! Thunder and lightning hit the black sword blocking Yi Hongchen, and Yi Hongchen flew upside down and fell into the lake in front of a lawn. Boy, although you can indeed be regarded as a strong person in the human race, you don't have supernatural power. Everything is in vain. Zidian suddenly laughed when he saw Yi Hongchen being easily knocked into the air. Zidian, please stop. Yi Hongchen just got up from the lake when he heard Alan's voice. Alan walked to Yi Hongchen, her face a little pale. Chapter 0094. The progress bar has been added. Alan walked to Yi Hongchen, her complexion a little pale, and a group of pale yellow assassinated Dai Pharaoh was beside her and Yi Hongchen. Alan, I really like you. It's because I like you so much. That's why I feel a little impulsive today. After Zidian saw that Alan was able to move, his face suddenly sank. He knew that today's plan was probably in vain. Zidian, your thoughts are too extreme. I'm a little scared of you now. Let's go. Alan did not attack, but said towards Zidian. Hearing the words, Zidian wiped a trace of disappointment on his face. After taking a deep look at Alan, He walked towards the direction behind him, turned into a purple thunder and lightning, and disappeared directly. Thank you for today's matter. After Zidian left, Alan turned her head, looked at Yi Hongchen, and hesitated a little before saying something. It's okay. If something happens to you, there'll be no one to help me practice my fighting skills at night. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly, a smile on his face. You also have fighting skills, just those attacks you just saw. It looks extremely sophisticated. As soon as Alan heard what Yi Hongchen said, she immediately remembered the tricks that Yi Hongchen had used to hit Zidian and said somewhat irritably, "It's not a season 1. I just want to try to see if he can hit him." As a result, his combat experience is not as high as yours, so I was swept to the bottom of the game all at once. Yi Hongchen showed a fluke expression. Then his face was pale, and a mouthful of blood was suddenly vomited out. Puff! As soon as the blood touched the water in front of Yi Hongchen was immediately dyed red. But Yi Hongchen felt like he had been hit hard, and his whole body suddenly fell forward. Upon seeing this, Alan grabbed Yi Hongchen's shoulders in time. Yi Hongchen leaned directly on Alan's body. With his chin resting on Alan's shoulders, his eyes were closed, as if he had passed out. It's all like this, still brave. Seeing this, Alan couldn't help but murmur. Then, Alan dragged Yi Hongchen towards the shore, during which time, the clothes covering only the front almost slipped off. Naturally, Yi Hongchen wouldn't be stunned by small things like Zidian. He just pretended to be. In order to be more authentic, he even used the colorless divine power in his body to give a shock to his internal organs, so that blood spurted out. After supporting Yi Hongchen to the shore and gently leaning Yi Hongchen on a rock, Alan actually put on his clothes directly in front of Yi Hongchen. Of course, in order to prevent others from being there, she still surrounded her with the assassination butterfly. Shenin Department, the room where Yi Hongchen is located. Alan put Yi Hongchen, who was in a coma past, on the bed, looked at Yi Hongchen's somewhat soft face, and muttered in a low voice, "Once I am so weak, I still want to be a hero." After finishing speaking, Alan put one hand on her chin. Looking at Yi Hongchen like this, she couldn't help but think of what Yi Hongchen did today. "You want to forcibly take the woman I like and still want me to do nothing happen? Yours, woman? What is this BD talking about?" When Alan thought of Yi Hongchen's words, her ears turned red unconsciously. Although it was not the first time that she had experienced a banquet, she still couldn't resist hearing Yi Hongchen's words in this era. "I really don't know how you made that black sword because you don't have supernatural power." Alan stretched out her hand and slowly drew it across Yi Hongchen's face, muttering with some doubts. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but secretly surprised after feeling Alan's hand across his face. Chapter 0095. The Protoss is coming. The appearance of the Zidian was really a surprise, and it brought him a step closer to his relationship with Alan. After the Protoss comes, maybe he will complete the task completely, right? Today is the 9th day, and there are 21 days left. When Yi Hongchen pretended to be in a coma, where the Protoss High Priest was, Xin Yuekui stood at the door, with the sun hanging in the sky, and couldn't help but wonder. Strange, what exactly is Tian doing? 10 days have passed, and I haven't come back yet. Just as Xin Yuekui was puzzled, a gray-white eagle went through all the obstacles of the Protoss and came to her front. After yelling, it turned into more than 10 small characters and plunged directly into Xin Yuekui Fox's body. Quickly send the 6 great gods of the Protoss to come. Heaven. The following is the specific location of Yi Hongchen, which also specifically marked the word Shenin. The hidden department of God? It's strange with the strength of the sky. Wouldn't it be easy to destroy the hidden department of God? Xin Yuekui was puzzled. Of course, even though the doubts turned to doubts, she still began to send people from the Protoss to notify the 6 great gods. At night, the hidden part of the gods in the night red dust room. Alan had already left, but Yi Hongchen had to perform a full set of tricks, and he just woke up at night. Zidian, it seems that I have to find a chance to kill him. Sitting on the bed, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but feel a murderous intent when he thought of today's Zidian. Although he didn't hurt Yi Hongchen, and even promoted the relationship between Yi Hongchen and Alan, but Yi Hongchen just saw him not pleasing to his eyes. Yi Hongchen, you are awake. Yi Hongchen just sat up, and Alan's voice suddenly sounded. Alan walked in from outside the room, looked at Yi Hongchen with some caring eyes, and asked, "Although I've been treated by a doctor, do you still feel uncomfortable?" Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly. A pair of dark pupils looked at Alan. "Alan, let's go and practice fighting skills." Yi Hongchen put on his shoes and said enthusiastically to Alan, and he was about to go outside. Alan directly took Yi Hongchen's hand and looked at Yi Hongchen. Lu frowned. "You won't practice in this situation, otherwise you might lie down for another day. Do you care about me? You are injured for me, and you care about you. What's weird?" Alan let go of Yi Hongchen's hand and said somewhat complicatedly, "Attention everyone. Protoss people are here." Just as Yi Hongchen continued to say something, a loud body outside suddenly sounded. "No, the Protoss is here. You go quickly." As soon as Alan heard this, she ran out in a hurry and disappeared into Yi Hongchen's sight. After Yi Hongchen saw it, a smile suddenly appeared on his face, and he murmured, "It seems that tonight is destined to be close to the completion of the mission." After speaking, Yi Hongchen also walked out of the room, looking like walking in the back garden without panic. Of course, with the Lord of the Gods of Yi Hongchen and his strength, there is no need to panic at all. In the hidden tribe, the originally extremely quiet tribe, at this moment, there was a fire of war and smoke billowed. A group of people from the Protoss riding on the Bigfoot, grinning, wantonly beheading the non-combatants in the hidden part of the gods. "Ha ha! Kill these betrayers. Let them know our Protoss. That is the overlord of this world." The masked Ghostwood was sitting on the Bigfoot, laughing, while poking out a dark green, poisonous mist. Every time he plays, he will kill at least 3 people from the hidden department. Chapter 0096. Don't know how to create opportunities for me. Just as Anamu wanted to poison the people of the hidden department, a group of light yellow assassination butterflies flew in and rushed towards Anamu. A bunch of bugs. Actually want to stop this great god. A touch of disdain rose up on the Ghostwood's surface, and then with a big wave of his hand, a burst of green poisonous mist flew out again, charged directly to the assassination butterfly. The assassination butterfly couldn't resist the poisonous fog of the Ghostwood at all, and fell to the ground after being engulfed. Alan stopped at Gamu alone, and in front of several Protoss people. His expression was extremely solemn. "This is not the place you should come. Please leave me quickly." "Ha! The whole world is the place of my Protoss. Is there any place where Ghostwood, one of my 6 great gods, can't go?" When Ghostwood heard what Alan said, he couldn't help but laughed wildly. After speaking, he waved his hand again without stopping, and a burst of poisonous mist rushed towards Alan. Alan stepped on the ground with one foot. The whole person seemed to fly to the sky, avoiding the attack of the ghost girl, and even used the assassination butterfly in the air. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The assassination butterfly is like a hidden weapon, flying quickly towards the Ghostwood. The butterfly's wings are as sharp as a blade. There is no doubt that if they are touched by them, they will definitely be cut. When Guemu saw the assassination butterfly flying, his reaction was surprisingly fast, and he bounced directly and flew from the Bigfoot. Puff! Although the Ghostwood escaped, the Bigfoot beast was not so lucky, and was directly cut into pieces by the assassinated butterfly. "Good, you little girl." Guemu looked very angry, and predicted where Alan had fallen, and rushed in that direction. Just after Alan fell from the sky, she couldn't make any movements at all. She just stole a punch from Ghostwood. Alan suddenly flew out, and Ghostwood waved his hand again when Alan flew out. A group of insects emitting green poisonous mist, like ladybugs, flew towards Alan. Alan merged his hands, and the triangular hole in the center of both palms suddenly gave out a faint light. In the next moment, a group of assassinated butterflies flew out of her hand, facing the worms of the Ghostwood. Countless assassination butterflies fell to the ground with the poisonous insects of Guemu. But unfortunately, Alan's assassinated butterflies were still lost, and the poisonous insects still rushed towards Alan. When Alan was fighting the assassination of the butterfly and the poisonous insect, she had already fallen to the ground. At this moment, seeing the poisonous insect attack, she moved her feet and avoided the poisonous insect directly. No, this ghostwood is more powerful than me, so I can't consume it with him. Alan looked at the ghostwood and ran to the left in the next moment. Humph, you go chasing this baby girl. I will go and first to join the other great gods. After seeing Alan running away, Guemu didn't chase after him. After saying a few Protoss human beings, he went straight to the center of the Chenin department. To him, Alan is just a small figure in the hidden division. Their goal tonight is the former high priest and his former teacher. Fushi, standing on a big tree, Yi Hongchen said with some dissatisfaction after seeing the ghostwood not chasing Alan. This ghostwood really doesn't know how to create opportunities for me. After speaking, Yi Hongchen jumped again and immediately merged into the dark forest. Stop! You will be caught by us if you run away, and you will surely let you survive and die. Seeing that the Protoss sitting on the Bigfoot couldn't catch up with Alan, they suddenly shouted. When Alan heard this, instead of stopping, her speed increased a bit. I don't know if Yi Hongchen has ran away. Alan was secretly worried for Yi Hongchen. Oh, is there anyone else here? Chapter 0097. The opportunity is here. Oh, is there anyone else here? At this moment, Alan suddenly heard the sound of deep moxibustion. The next moment, a white-haired, tall body, wearing blue armor, there are purple lines on the armor, the man who lights up from time to time, appeared in front of her. Not good, Alan secretly said in her heart, just about to change direction, but the tall man in front of her was so fast that he rushed in front of her. Bang! Without the slightest accident, Alan was directly hit on the abdomen with a fist, and the whole body quickly flew out. Fell on a big rock. The tall man also showed his face under the moonlight. One of the 6 great gods of the Protoss, the great god of Yinbu, Shixing. Trouble. Feeling the blood surging in her body, Alan's heart sank. This Ten Xing, but among the 6 great gods, one of the killers who can rank in the top 3 in combat power. I have seen the great god of Yinbu. We are the subordinates of the great god of plague, come to hunt down this rebellious party. The people of the Protoss who had chased Alan before all bowed their heads and said to Shixing. When speaking, his body was trembling, as if he was talking to a terrifying beast. Oh, it turned out to be the waist of Guemu. No wonder it didn't finish killing. Shixing clenched his fist slightly and said indifferently. After the people of Yinbu heard it, they did not refute, but lowered their heads. Okay, get out of here, this little girl. Just leave it to me. Shixing waved his hand as if to drive a fly. The people in Yinbu didn't dare to breathe and directly controlled the Bigfoot to leave here. Call. Yi Hongchen stood on the big tree 20 meters away from Alan. After seeing Shixing, he smiled slightly. It seems that my chance has come. After speaking, Yi Hongchen jumped directly down the tree, and a black mist appeared beside him, condensing a black long sword. Yi Hongchen held the long sword and ran towards Alan. After driving away the people from Yinbu, Shixing twisted his head a few times and walked towards Alan. Little girl, you have the ability to escape from the ghostwood. You should have some ability. Get out and let me see. Alan watched Shixing getting closer and gritted her teeth. The next moment, the 3 assassinated butterflies flew towards Shixing. As if Shixing hadn't noticed the assassination of the butterfly, he just stole 3 assassinations of the butterfly. However, as soon as the assassin butterfly touched the blue armor on his body, it didn't even play a role, not even a trace of it. Just these few bugs? This ghost wood is worthy of rubbish. It can't be beaten. Then let me come and kill you. Shixing casually shot 3 assassinated butterflies with great precision. The assassination butterfly turned into a light yellow light and dissipated. Boom! The next moment, Shixing moved his feet, and a crack broke on the ground, and he punched Alan fiercely. Do you want to die in the hands of this kind of person? Alan looked at Shixing, feeling very unwilling. At this moment, Yi Hongchen arrived, and he held a land's hand with one hand and avoided Shixing's punch. Bang! The stone behind Alan was instantly beaten into stone fragments by Shixing's punch and scattered on the ground. Oh, is there another person here? Shixing turned around slowly, with a smirk on his ugly face. Seeing that she was okay, and Yi Hongchen was the one who saved her, Alan was taken aback for a while, and then yelled anxiously, "Didn't you let you run?" Chapter 0098. Helpless to vomit blood again, didn't I tell you to run? Looking at Yi Hongchen's face, Alan couldn't help being a little angry. He is just an ordinary person, even if he is considered a strong person among the human race. But under the people of the gods with the power, how can he resist? What's more, the one who is going to kill her now is the great god of Yanbu, one of the 6 great gods among the Protoss, Shixing. Then I also said that I will protect you in the future. If others want to kill you, they must step over my body. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but chuckle when he heard Alan's words. When he spoke, he always smiled, but in Alan's eyes, it was so serious. You. Alan looked at Yi Hongchen and didn't know what to say, but her eyes became a little wet, and tears appeared in her eyes. Oh, this kind of plot really makes this god feel compassionate, but don't be afraid, I will let you die together. Seeing Yi Hongchen and Alan's king eye and eye appearance, Shixing suddenly smiled cruelly and said in a condensed voice. The next moment, he rushed towards Yi Hongchen quickly. His hands were claw-shaped, and he grabbed it towards Yi Hongchen. I want to tear you all to pieces. Be careful. Alan hurriedly yelled when he saw Shixing, who had killed Yi Hongchen behind him. Yi Hongchen remained unmoved, and when he felt that Shixing was about to touch him, he took the black long sword and slashed behind him immediately. Call! Yi Hongchen's long sword touched Shixing's claws, and Yi Hongchen directly retreated, and his feet drew a trace on the ground. Oh, it's kind of interesting. You obviously don't have supernatural power. Are you a human trainer? When Shixing saw this, he couldn't help thinking of Ziyu, who was outside Chaoga City 10 days ago. He also used a sword. Kiki, sure? That's also true. Yi Hongchen said lightly while looking at Shixing. It was because of Yi Hongchen's dress, and he had just wiped the residue of leaves on his face specially. Therefore, Shixing did not recognize Yi Hongchen, nor did he associate Yi Hongchen with the Lord of the Gods, Tian. Okay, interesting. Then let me see your strength. Shixing couldn't help getting a little excited when he heard Yi Hongchen's words. After twisting his head, he suddenly jumped, and the next moment he quickly kicked towards Yi Hongchen. Come! Yi Hongchen put the black long sword on the ground, bent his leg, and kicked it out. He actually wants to compete with Shixing. Bang! Yi Hongchen and Shixing touched their legs, because Yi Hongchen held the sword against the ground, and because of his body, it didn't move at all. Shixing actually flew upside down into the sky and landed on the ground. His entire face was dumbfounded. Yi Hongchen. Alan was in a daze after seeing Yi Hongchen kicking Shixing away. Puff! Just when Shixing Zai, Alan looked in a trance. Yi Hongchen spit out a mouthful of blood, and his pale red lips became pale. It turns out he was holding on. Shixing secretly said after seeing Yi Hongchen's state. Alan looked worried after seeing Yi Hongchen spit out a mouthful of blood and wanted to help him, but the injuries on her body were extremely serious. Boy, since he can take my punch, then I will use my divine power. If you can continue and you are not dead, I will let you go. Shixing took 2 steps forward, looking at Yi Hongchen with a wicked smile, and said. Yi Hongchen wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth, raised his long sword, and pointed at Shixing. Come through. Okay, refreshing. Shixing said, bending down suddenly. Sura Realm Divine Power. Chapter 0099. Trying Wind and Wave Swordsmanship. Sura Realm Divine Power. After Shixing's words fell, a purple light suddenly appeared in his body. Even his blue armor lines are shining purple. Roar! The next moment, Shixing seemed to have a gray wolf king on his body, and roared suddenly. Wolf! 3 gray demon wolves suddenly appeared behind Shixing. All of them looked fierce, with purple light in their eyes, as if they were looking at their prey. Yi Hongchen, can he really stop him? Alan couldn't help worrying after seeing Shixing's magical powers. A few light yellow assassination butterflies even appeared behind him, ready to help Yi Hongchen when he was lost. Even her assassination of the butterfly is a dispensable thing in Shi Xing's eyes. Boy, be careful. Shi Xing smiled coldly, and the four big gray wolves rushed towards Yi Hongchen. Looking at the four menacing wolves, Yi Hongchen's complexion remained unchanged, but he secretly said in his heart, I don't know if I can use the wind and wave swordsmanship. Try. Yi Hongchen carried the sword behind her back and slowly mobilized the black energy in her body. The long sword behind him suddenly gave out a burst of black air, like a foggy body. Wind wave swordsmanship, open flow style. Looking at the oncoming four wolves, Yi Hongchen's long sword behind him suddenly swung forward. Call. A faint black energy formed a sword aura and rushed towards the wild wolf at the forefront. Roar! Upon seeing this, the barren wolf roared, and the speed suddenly increased. Even the claws of the front 2 feet have become extremely slender. Hum! Hum! The wolves grabbed the black sword key, and the sword key suddenly became like gas, dissipating in one shot. Rushing. The sword key was broken, and Yi Hongchen was not surprised. At the moment when the sword key dissipated, he used the second formula at the same time. Because there is no spiritual support, Yi Hongchen has no physical skills and is as light as a swallow, so he can only rush forward. He couldn't directly appear next to that desolate wolf at all. Oh, is this to die? Then I will fulfill you. Wild wolf, tear him apart. Shi Xing couldn't help being a little confused when he saw Yi Hongchen even taking the initiative to meet the wolf, but he didn't think much. The wolves roared, and a pair of claws slammed at Yi Hongchen's head. The sharp claws make people no doubt that if Yi Hongchen is really caught, he will definitely be torn in half by this claw. Even Alan would use the assassination butterfly behind her back. Obviously, she also thought that Yi Hongchen couldn't resist it at all. Just when Shi Xing and the others felt that Yi Hongchen couldn't hide the claws of Desolate Wolf, Yi Hongchen's body suddenly turned sideways. The paw that originally grabbed Yi Hongchen's head suddenly grabbed onto Yi Hongchen's shoulder. The sharp claws directly tore Yi Hongchen's clothes and even grabbed a bloody wound on Yi Hongchen's shoulder. It's a pity that it just caught a wound, and Yi Hongchen pierced the throat of that desolate wolf with a sword. The whole person moved to the side very quickly so that he would not be stopped by the wolf, and cut off the 2 legs of the other wolf again. Wind wave, sword method 4th style, wave sword style. Because the power in a body is not the spiritual power, Yi Hongchen can't use the Tianlu pose at all, so he can only use the 4th pose directly, following the gap to cut off the second desolate wolf. Yi Hongchen slashed towards the 2 desolated wolves at the end. Call! In the next moment, a powerful air current blasted out from Yi Hongchen's sword in an instant. In the end, the 2 wolves flew out inexplicably, and there was even a sword mark on their heads. Chapter 0100. Another trick bang. Bang! After the last 2 wolves flew upside down, they fell heavily to the ground. They didn't stand up again. Instead, they turned into purple light and gradually dissipated. In just such a short time, Shi Xing's 4 wild wolves died by cutting their throats, one having their limbs broken, and both of them being hit in the head by the sword stream. 3 dead and 1 injured. After Alan saw it, the whole person was stunned, and his eyes were wide open. It is completely hard to believe that Yi Hongchen suddenly broke Shi Xing's trick. Oh, interesting kid. Shi Xing was a little surprised when he saw his wild wolf gradually dissipate. Yi Hongchen stepped back slowly. Yi Jian finally accepted the wolf whose limbs had been cut off and looked at Shi Xing and said, "One move is over. I don't know if the great god Yanbu will keep his word." "Don't worry. That trick is not over yet. Take it." After Shi Xing said, his body was full of purple light, like a wolf king, fiercely killing Yi Hongchen. Seeing this, Alan hurriedly threw out a few assassinated butterflies and cut off directly to the place where Shi Xing had no armor. A few bloody mouths appeared on Shi Xing's body, but Shi Xing seemed to be ignorant. He didn't pay attention to Alan at all, and he kept killing Yi Hongchen. "Gome," Yi Hongchen said faintly while looking at Shi Xing. The next moment, with a move, Yi Hongchen actually greeted Shixing and slashed to Shixing's neck with a sword. When Yi Hongchen's sword was directly grabbed by Shixing with one hand, and the sword didn't break through the armor of Shixing's hand, and he couldn't hurt Shixing a bit. Boy, previously in Chaoga City, I also met an interesting human race powerhouse, but unfortunately he was abandoned by heaven. Big Shixing grabbed Yi Hongchen's sword and smiled at Yi Hongchen. Ziyu. Upon hearing Shixing's words, Yi Hongchen thought of the same white-haired Ziyu. Take me a punch. As long as you don't die, I will let you go. After Shixing finished speaking, the hand that grabbed the blade suddenly pushed the blade away. The next moment, a punch quickly hit Yi Hongchen's chest. Yi Hongchen flew out directly, smashing a few tree roots before stopping. Except the move. Before he had time to breathe, Shixing appeared directly behind Yi Hongchen like a teleport. His claws became extremely sharp, and he grabbed Yi Hongchen. At the moment of his death, Yi Hongchen put the long sword directly behind his feet, ready to escape. Bang! However, something that Yi Hongchen could not have imagined happened. The black long sword that was carried behind him was scattered by Shixing Puff. Yi Hongchen suffered a severe claw from Shixing behind him, revealing a few bloodstains, and he was beaten out again and laid down on the ground again. Yi Hongchen, upon seeing Alan, the whole person actually got up from the ground and stumbled towards Yi Hongchen, who was lying on the ground. At this moment, Yi Hongchen was lying motionless on the ground, seeming to have lost his vitality, making Alan's heart sink. You won't die. You haven't protected me. How could you just die like this? Alan murmured as she walked towards Yi Hongchen. On the other side, Shixing clenched his fist, felt the soreness on his paw, and couldn't help but frown. Strange, why this kid's skin is so hard, his paw seems to be about to break. After speaking, he looked at Yi Hongchen lying on the ground with a little scrutiny to see if he was dead. Shixing, shouldn't you fulfill your promise and let us go? At this moment, Alan and Shixing suddenly heard a weak voice. Chapter 0101. I'm sorry then, Yi Hongchen, who was originally lying on the ground motionless, slowly stood up. Although his face was a little sick, there was nothing serious about it. Yi Hongchen, seeing this, Alan came to Yi Hongchen's side, and at this moment, she rushed directly to Yi Hongchen and immediately hugged Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen obviously didn't expect that Alan would suddenly hug him, and without the slightest preparation, he was directly overwhelmed by Alan. I told you to run. You must not listen. Now, I'm afraid you are going to die. Alan was lying on Yi Hongchen with a voice of hatred for iron and steel, and while speaking, she hammered Yi Hongchen with her fist. She really thought that Yi Hongchen was dead. At that time, her heart couldn't help but shattered. She didn't understand the feeling, but she seemed to feel that Yi Hongchen had become an important person to her. Yi Hongchen couldn't help smiling when he saw it, and hugged Alan with both hands. Then, seeing that Alan had slightly pale lips, he kissed him. Suddenly being kissed by Yi Hongchen, Alan was a little excited at first, and suddenly fell silent, looking at Yi Hongchen closely with a pair of nice eyes. Yi Hongchen didn't kiss for too long, and after 3 seconds of contact, they separated. Touching Alan's face wiped by the mud, Yi Hongchen said softly, "Okay, Yi Hongchen has a hard life and can't die." Hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Alan regained her consciousness and suddenly kissed Yi Hongchen's mouth actively. Shixing took a bite of dog food unexpectedly. His complexion was indescribable, his fists clenched, and his feet moved. Bang! Like a cannonball, Shixing came directly to Yi Hongchen, above Alan, and punched Alan. Yi Hongchen. Because of the reason that Alan was pressing on Yi Hongchen, Alan didn't see it. Yi Hongchen, who was lying underneath, noticed Shixing all at once. Before he could think about it, Yi Hongchen hugged Alan and quickly rolled over. But Shixing seemed to have expected it to be normal, and actually changed direction in the air, still fighting towards Yi Hongchen, Alan. Yi Hongchen had no choice but to press himself on Alan to bear Shixing's punch. Bang! Yi Hongchen, a big pit appeared directly under Alan, flying sand and rocks everywhere. Even the surrounding flowers, plants, and trees, already stones, were all affected by this force, and turned into fly ash in an instant. A bloody blood entered Alan's mouth directly from Yi Hongchen's mouth. After feeling a bloody smell in his mouth, Alan suddenly opened his eyes. Entering the goal, it was a situation where Shing hit Yi Hongchen with a punch, and Yi Hongchen's eyes were slowly closing. Do not! Alan roared in her heart. However, even if she was not attacked by Shing, but under Yi Hongchen, she still suffered serious injuries, and she couldn't say a word at all. Standing on the edge of the big pit, Shing looked at Yi Hongchen, who had closed his eyes, and said coldly, I only said to let you go before, but I didn't say to let this girl go. However, since you also took a punch for this baby girl, you can also let her go. I hope you can survive, become stronger, and then challenge me again. After speaking, Shing turned and left without looking at Yi Hongchen at all. Alan glanced at him and walked towards the Shinin department. Yi Hongchen? Yi Hongchen? Hongchen. After Alan eased her anger, she looked at Yi Hongchen, who had closed her eyes, bloodshot in her eyes, and said to Yi Hongchen sentence by sentence. It's a pity that Yi Hongchen didn't reply to her what Alan said. A line of tears ran down the corners of her eyes and fell from her eyes. Chapter 0102. It's a pity to be a second woman. Why are you coming back? If you're back, why did I not die but you died? Didn't you say you want to protect me? Didn't you say, do you like me? I like you too. Yi Hongchen, please, can you not leave me? Can you not die? Alan hugged Yi Hongchen, put her head on Yi Hongchen's shoulder, and sobbed in a low voice. Ding, congratulations to the host for capturing the heart of a female second. Is Yi Hongchen dead? Naturally not. Even if he didn't use any power, relying on the Lord of the Protoss, Heaven's body, is still extremely powerful. You know, the sky is the Black Dragon Clan, and the physical body is extremely powerful. How could it be possible to die with a punch of less than 10% of the strength? After hearing the sudden sound of the system, Yi Hongchen, who was pretending to be dead, immediately opened his eyes. Not a tentative heroine? It's a female second? System, have you made a mistake? Ding, the system will never go wrong. Only the host will go wrong. As if hearing Yi Hongchen's heartfelt voice, the system's voice sounded in Yi Hongchen's mind again. This is too bad, right? In other words, he wasted 10 days here in vain? Thinking of this, Yi Hongchen had the idea of finding a piece of tofu and smashing it to death. However, as soon as he heard Alan's crying, Yi Hongchen's originally irritable mood was immediately wiped out. Alan, you hug too tightly. I'm almost out of breath. Yi Hongchen hugged Alan slightly and said with some tired voice. Suddenly hearing Yi Hongchen's voice, Alan, who was crying, stopped her voice and hurriedly let go of Yi Hongchen with great surprise. Yi Hongchen, you're not dead. Alan, do you really want me to die? Yi Hongchen hooked Alan's chin with one hand and smiled softly. Alan didn't say much. She hugged Yi Hongchen tightly again, for fear that Yi Hongchen would disappear from her eyes again. Okay, you go. Otherwise it will be troublesome when the people from the Protoss are found again. Yi Hongchen pushed Alan away and kissed Alan gently on the forehead. Okay, let's go. Alan stood up directly after hearing the words, just about to pull Yi Hongchen's hand. As a result, a burst of white light suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body, and even his body, which seemed to have suffered a lot of injuries, began to slowly dissipate like flying sand. Seeing this, Alan was taken aback for a moment, and then, as if going crazy, wanted to hug Yi Hongchen again. It is a pity that she hasn't moved yet. She just feels that her eyes are dark, and her whole person suddenly falls to the ground slowly. Yi Hongchen stood upright behind Alan, frowned slightly when she looked at Alan, who had passed out. It's a pity you are not the tentative heroine, but the second woman. Yi Hongchen sighed, and with a casual move, the unconscious Alan flew directly into his arms. After randomly placing Alan on a concealed tree, Yi Hongchen came to the lake where he first came and found an extremely supple black cloth. After cleaning the dirt on his lower body, he changed into that black dress and looked at the crescent moon in the sky. Since the tentative heroine has not been found, then first solve the last protagonist. Yi Hongchen looked at herself in the lake with a white face like jade exquisite, and it seemed to be exceptionally handsome, with a pair of black-eye pupils that exuded a feeling of letting me go. He has returned to the appearance of the Lord of the Gods, heaven. When he moved his feet, a powerful divine power suddenly radiated out, and wherever he passed, all the colors were obliterated and the gray color under his body, like colorless. Chapter 0103. Crushing purple electricity at this moment, Yi Hongchen was flying in the direction of a Chenin department at a speed that could reach it in less than 30 seconds. Suddenly, Yi Hongchen stayed above the sky, and a smile suddenly appeared on his face. He saw this acquaintance. He was rushing to the Chenin department, a man dressed in a purple long dress. His hair was like the head of a hedgehog, and an ordinary face was very smooth. Damn it! How'd this Protoss find here? Alan, you must not have an accident. This person is surprisingly the Zidian of the Chenin department, the first warrior of the Chenin department. Call. At this moment, an incomparably powerful air current rushed in, and all of a sudden, Zidian rushed out. What is this? Flying upside down, Zidian, who had not touched the ground, only felt a flower in front of him, and a black shadow appeared directly in front of him. The next moment, his neck was directly held by a big hand, and the whole person stopped, but his feet still did not touch the ground, because Zidian was pinched on the neck by a very handsome man with one hand, and was still lifted up. There was no power to break free from this power. Needless to say, this handsome-looking man is naturally a member of the Protoss God. That is Yi Hongchen. You. Who are you? Loosen. Zidian looked at Yi Hongchen, feeling a feeling of suffocation, and said with difficulty to Yi Hongchen every word. Because the current Yi Hongchen's temperament is completely different from the temperament in the Chenin department. Let alone in the Chenin department, Yi Hongchen deliberately made himself ugly. So the purple voltage root did not recognize Yi Hongchen. Don't talk about Zidian, even if it is other people in the Chenin department or Alan. It is impossible to associate Yi Hongchen with him now. Zidian, have you ever thought that it will be in the hands of a person without resistance? Yi Hongchen's dark black eyes stared at Zidian and said in different words, You are just a sneak attack, I'll be fine. Although Zidian was choked by Yi Hongchen, his face was full of dissatisfaction. Hearing this, Yi Hongchen suddenly raised the corner of his mouth, directly loosened Zidian's neck, and put his hands behind his back. Okay, then I'll give you a chance, but don't have no resistance at all. That's boring. As soon as Yi Hongchen released Zidian, Zidian sat down on the ground, and Yi Hongchen's indifferent words suddenly came into his ears. Don't worry, I will let you know that I am really good at Zidian. Zidian quickly stood up, clenched his hands into fists, and his fists were shining with purple light. The supernatural power of the Vientiane world. The purple lightning turned into a purple thunder and lightning, instantly killing towards Yi Hongchen. Extremely fast. It's a pity that his speed fell in Yi Hongchen's eyes, but it was like slow motion, incredibly slow, slowly raising his hand. A burst of gray-white light flashed on Yi Hongchen's body. In the next moment, as long as Yi Hongchen's line of sight can reach, all the colors are off-white, as if the previous colors have completely faded away. The terrifying pressure instantly pressed on Zidian's body, making him almost staggered and fell to the ground. This is the colorless, supernatural power. Zidian looked at the surrounding scenes, including him in the original purple long dress. At this moment, there was no color. Everything is off-white, as colorless. In this world, there's only one person who possesses colorless divine power. Lord of the Protoss, who has survived for more than 10 million years. God, thinking of this, even if it is Zidian, his eyes are full of fear at the moment. In the next second, a grayish-white light appeared in front of Zidian's eyes. Chapter 0104, Killing Zidian Bang. Zidian's body flew upside down suddenly, and even the purple light that he clenched into a fist completely disappeared. The purple electricity flying in the air seemed to have stopped, and Yi Hongchen slowly moved towards the purple electricity. When he came to Zidian's body, behind Yi Hongchen, two extremely hideous small black dragon heads suddenly appeared. Puff! The faucet on the left of Yi Hongchen suddenly penetrated Zidian's heart, and the blood seemed to be still, not flowing down at all. The next moment, the originally colorless scene slowly dissipated at this moment, and all the surrounding colors returned to their original state. But Zidian didn't even have time to snort it and closed his eyes, and the body that was penetrated by the black dragon. The bright red blood began to flow down. He has no resistance at all. Yi Hongchen took back the black dragon and got up again as usual behind him. On the ground, only Zidian was lying on the ground very quietly, motionless. I've said it, there is no resistance at all. What's the point? Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly and continued to walk towards the center of the Shenin department. Shenin Department Center. At this moment, all the 6 great gods gathered here, surrounded by dead people lying on the ground, the flames blazing into the sky. The only one still alive is the peacock with a big belly. Peacock, in vain, I used to be a good sister with you. Why is it so difficult for you to reveal where my father is now? Xin Yuekui Fox, dressed in purple and black, stood in front of the peacock with an extremely disappointed look on her face. Bah! Xin Yuekui Fox, I'm so shameless to be with you. I was so blind before that I would become a sister with you. The peacock sat on the ground, looking at Xin Yuekui Fox with hatred on his face. Peacock, if you don't say much, just tell me, my father Fushi, where is it at the moment? Xin Yuekui Fox did not intend to continue wasting time with the peacock. Her face was cold. She looked at the peacock. It seemed that the peacock was not talking. She was about to kill the peacock. Do you think I'll tell you? It's really chilling for the high priest. His daughter looks like this. The peacock turned his head away. His words were full of grief. It seemed that Fushi had a daughter like Xin Yuekui, and it was really disgusting. High priest, let me tell you, this woman has such a hard mouth. She has to use it. Guemu, standing behind Xin Yuekui Fox, suddenly became impatient, and a green poisonous mist appeared in his hand. Demon Wood, you can't do this, such a beautiful traitor. You really can't knock her mouth open. You can give it to me. Just after Ghost Wood's words fell, a man in a spacious red coat suddenly let out a bit of dissatisfaction. One of the 6 great gods, the great god of fire Tai Chi. Tai Chi, don't your words take me at ease? Huh. A woman next to Tai Chi suddenly became a little dissatisfied and gave Tai Chi a slight glance. One of the 6 great gods, the great god of Rainliu Yue. I think it's a companion game anyway. Just kill it directly. A brawny man wearing a hat slowly shook his head, obviously not satisfied with their methods. One of the 6 great gods, the great god of fighting Tiankui. A young man with black hair clenched his fists, and when he heard the words of the 4 great gods, he turned his head slightly, as if he was enduring something. One of the 6 great gods, the great god of thunder chasing the sun. He also has an identity, Peacock's younger brother. I agree with Tian Kuei's words. How easy it is to kill directly, isn't it, Fushi? I'll find it again then. After Shixing moved his neck, he also said a little impatiently. One of the 6 great gods, the great god of Yin Bu Shixing. Chapter 0105. Suspected revenge. Hurry up if you want to kill. I don't want to be disgusted by you. Peacock heard these people's words, took a deep look at Chasing Sun, and said indifferently, in that case, Tianke, kill her. Seeing the peacock's stiff attitude, Xin Yuekui couldn't help shook his head, obviously not planning to inquire about Fushi's whereabouts. Wait, she is also my sister anyway. Let me do it myself. Tian Kuei had just walked forward 2 steps. A blue thunder light suddenly appeared in front of him, chasing the sun and standing in front of Tian Kuei, said coldly. All right, let you do it. Tian Kuei nodded slightly, but didn't say much. With a move of chasing the sun, a blue thunder and lightning appeared in his hand. The next moment, a weapon like a rapier appeared directly in his hand. The blade is like a sword. The only difference is the hilt, which is a circular ring. Hoo-hoo-hoo. A gust of thunder and wind swept across, chasing the sun slowly approaching the peacock, and a thunder and lightning flashed on his body. Sister, go all the way well. Chasing the sun said coldly. The weapon directly wiped the peacock's throat, and a burst of blue thunder wrapped around the peacock's body. The peacock died suddenly and fell weakly on the ground, but there was a smile on his mouth. Okay, let's go back. Xin Yuekui waved his hand slightly, preparing to return to God's domain, and many more. At this time, a faint voice sounded, like being unruly, but like a king over the world. Call! A cold wind suddenly rolled up, and a 20-year-old man walked over. A compliant black dress, long white hair, a handsome face, and dark black eyes. A powerful pressure came out of him. Xin Yuekui, the six great gods, and other unknown Protoss's expressions changed suddenly when they saw this man. The next moment, all of them knelt down on their knees, without the slightest sloppy. I have seen the sky. This person is amazingly the Lord of the Gods, God. That is Hongchen. Shixing took a peek at Hongchen. His face was extremely calm, but his heart was extremely puzzled. Strange, God. Why is it so similar to the previous kid? Is this just my illusion? Hongchen glanced at the scene, saw the peacock lying motionless on the ground, could not help but said lightly, "Get up." Hearing Hongchen's words, the gods just got up, but the atmosphere didn't dare to come out for fear that Hongchen's mold would be caused. Xin Yuekui, Shixing stayed, and the others returned to God's domain. Yes, Hongchen's words fell. Everyone said in unison, and then hurriedly left the divine hidden department and rushed to the divine realm. There is not even a doubt. After everyone left, Hongchen stared into Shixing's gaze, suddenly condensed. The next moment suddenly appeared in front of Shixing. A vast, colorless divine power instantly overflowed, directly pressing Shixing to the ground. Can't move. Shixing, I want you to die. Why don't you have any doubts? Hongchen looked at Shixing, who was hard to move, said lightly. Although Hongchen is suspected of revenge, it is undeniable that Shixing is also a protagonist. God, I don't know where I offended you, but please let me go. Shixing's armor is about to shatter, and he said with great difficulty. Even Xin Yuekui was extremely puzzled and didn't understand why Tian wanted to kill Shixing. You know, this Shixing can also be said to be Tian, Hongchen's son. I want to kill. Do I need a reason? Chapter 0106. Alan who doubts herself. I'm killing. Do I need a reason? Hongchen couldn't help feeling amused when he heard Shixing's words. I know your physique can be regarded as an immortal body, but I have some ways to break it. When the words fell, Hongchen put a palm on Shixing's head, and a powerful divine power directly entered Shixing's body. Although Shixing had a curse that made him immortal, he was able to kill Shixing with Ziyu. Hongchen, now the Lord of the Gods, is it not easy to kill Shixing? What? Before long, Shixing opened his hands wide, and a terrifying black mist erupted from his body. In the next moment, the armor that seemed to be about to shatter was completely shattered in an instant when Shixing opened his hands. Shixing's originally tall body began to become thinner at this time. 30 seconds later, the previous Shixing had completely disappeared, leaving only an unusually handsome young man. Heaven, this young man is indeed Shixing, who has not been cursed. Shixing, I feel a little guilty for letting you live like this. Now, let you accompany your Mingwe. Hongchen looked at the young Shixing, his expression still indifferent, and said coldly. Shixing directly gave up the resistance, waiting for Hongchen's final blow. Puff! The next moment, a mouthful of bright red blood spurted from his mouth. Shixing's body gradually turned into a burst of purple light, dissipating in front of Hongchen. The surrounding scenery lost its color and returned to its original appearance again, but Shixing was nowhere to be seen. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Kill the second protagonist. There is still one tentative heroine before the task is completed. Task: capture a tentative heroine. Deadline: within 20 days. Reward: retain the 3-layer cultivation base to the main world. Just after Hongchen killed Shixing, the electronic sound of the system rang in his mind. There's still 20 days before the mission, so there should be nothing wrong with it. Hongchen secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After all, his mission period was only 1 month, and he should only be able to stay in this world for 1 month. Xin Yuekui. Hongchen retracted his thoughts, turned his head, and said to Xin Yuekui Fox behind him, "God, say it." Xin Yuekui hurriedly replied when he heard Yi Hongchen's words, her slender legs trembling involuntarily. After all, Yi Hongchen left her and Shi Xing alone, but Shi Xing was inexplicably killed by Yi Hongchen. If she was not afraid, there would be ghosts. "Mingzu, do you know where to go from?" Yi Hongchen turned around, staring at Xin Yuekui Fox with dark eyes. Xin Yuekui Fox only felt that he was being stared at by a wild beast, and his whole body was uncomfortable. Knowledge, forcibly suppressing the fear in his heart. Xin lowered his head and said to Yi Hongchen. Yi Hongchen nodded slightly, and after approaching Xin Yuekui Fox, under her uneasy mood, he directly picked up Xin Yuekui Fox and flew away. He hasn't opened meat for 10 days, and this black dragon body seems to always have evil fire that cannot be removed. Just when Yi Hongchen and Xin Yuekui went to an unknown place to be happy, Alanyu, who was lying on a big tree, woke up. Yi Hongchen, sitting on the big branch, Alan couldn't help but yelled in a low voice. However, after waiting for a while, I still didn't hear Yi Hongchen's reply, and even the whole forest was quiet and terrible. In her mind, Yi Hongchen suddenly floated up and her whole body turned into flying sand, dissipating the picture before her eyes. Could it be my illusion? In fact, Yi Hongchen is already dead. Chapter 0107, A Land's Fantasy. Could it be that I had a hallucination before, but in fact, Yi Hongchen has already, seeing a broken stone above the ground. Alan couldn't help feeling a little sad. In that case, who brought me here again? Seeing where she was now, Alan couldn't help but wonder again, jumped directly to the ground, and walked slowly towards the Chenin department. She is going to see the current situation of the Chenin department. As a result, Alan directly saw Zidian lying on the ground without going too far. At this moment, Zidian's face had turned pale, and even his body had broken through a big hole, looking terrifying. Zidian. Alan stood in front of Zidian, her eyes closed slightly, and a burst of dreams appeared in her mind involuntarily. Yi Hongchen, who was hugged tightly by her, was like a person of the great god of the Protoss, turning into flying sand after death, dissipating between the world and the earth. She then fainted and was just seen by Zidian, who was rushed back and took her to the branches. As a result, a powerful Protoss discovered Zidian, and Zidian led away the great god. But he was overtaken by the great god and finally killed by him. No, I have to see who else is alive. Alan put aside the picture she had just imagined and hurried directly to the center of the Chenin department. Outside the forest where the Chenin department is located, there is a place where the human race lives. At this moment, all the people there were lying on the ground, and there was no aura of life, and their deaths were very peaceful, as if they were dying in their sleep. In the largest wooden house in the village, Yi Hongchen, Xin Yuekui Fox lay on a wooden bed, covered with a quilt. Hug and sleep. Of course, Yi Hongchen didn't go to sleep, just looked at the moonlight outside the window and fell into thought. After returning to the main world, his situation should be to the point of falling into dire straits, right? Therefore, he must go back with the strength of Tian Sansheng. Otherwise, when he encounters a person who has the initial stage of Ning stage cultivation base, how can he fight? Although in that battle, if he wanted to run, Jun Haoyin might not be able to stop him, but he was careless after all. He thought that with the strength of his middle golden core holding Pill Realm, he could challenge Jun Haoyin in the early stage of Yuaning. God, what's the matter? It looks like a lot of troubles. Just when Yi Hongchen was thinking about something, Xin Yuekui Fox's charming voice suddenly came to his ears, and then he only felt a sigh of heating on his face. Looking towards the Xin Yuekui Fox, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but once again rise in his body. The evil fire hugged the Xin Yuekui Fox and said with a faint smile, "You are such a stunner." Early morning. Yi Hongchen stood in front of the wooden house, looking at the rising sun, only feeling a moment of relief. In this world, no one can threaten him, making him feel safe. Xin Yuekui Fox, give me the location of the Ming clan. Yi Hongchen said, faintly after feeling someone coming behind him. It was Xin Yuekui who walked out of the wooden room. Hearing Yi Hongchen's voice, he flicked his fingers, and a faint white light directly plunged into Yi Hongchen's body. A memory appeared directly in Yi Hongchen's mind, and it was engraved at once, extremely profound. It seems that it is not easy to forget. The divine power of this empty consciousness world is really unpredictable. Hey, are you planning to kill the Ming clan in one fell swoop? Xin Yuekui looked at Yi Hongchen and couldn't help but said with some doubts, "Don't ask if you shouldn't ask. You're a smart person." Yi Hongchen's tone was extremely cold, and he felt like putting on his pants and not acknowledging people. Chapter 0108. Dancing with the Wind. After speaking, Yi Hongchen didn't worry about Xin Yueki's feelings, and two black dragons suddenly appeared behind him and instantly vacated. Suddenly disappeared in front of Xin Yuekui. Xin Yuekui watched Yi Hongchen leave and couldn't help muttering, "It's worthy of the sky." Even speaking, it's so different. If Yi Hongchen heard Xin Yueki's own whispering here, he would stagger and fall from the sky. Noon. Yi Hongchen, alone, came to a gray mountain area where there was dazzling sunlight outside the mountain, but the luminosity inside the mountain was extremely dim, as dark as the night. "This is Mingdi," Yi Hongchen murmured, walking slowly into the mountain. Hoo-hoo-hoo. As soon as he entered the mountain, a cold wind blew in, causing Yi Hongchen to feel uncomfortable. Because of this cold wind, there is still some odor, and all odors are mixed in. Among them, the most prominent is the odor of corpses. According to the original plot, the people of the underworld will only appear after a goo and cabbage come out. But I don't have so much time at all, so I can only find them in person. Yi Hongchen muttered as he looked a hole in front of him that was emitting a gray light. In the next moment, Yi Hongchen walked straight into the entrance of the cave without any hesitation. He was the Lord of the Protoss and the most powerful person in this world. What else is he afraid of? Yi Hongchen only felt a flower in front of him, and when he appeared again, he came to a place full of ruins. Above the sky, like the light of dusk, and the surrounding magma is flowing everywhere. It is completely different from the beauty of the world. Here, there is no grass. If the human race survives here, it is specified that it will not live for 10 days. This is the underworld. Yi Hongchen slowly closed his eyes, sensing where there is a breath of life. North. Yi Hongchen soared into the sky again and disappeared instantly. In an extremely dark place to the north, after countless creatures died, they unconsciously walked to a huge door with a crack open. Yi Hongchen stood behind the dead creatures, his expression still unchanged. Strange, why no one just clearly felt it call. At this time, the sound of a stone falling to the ground sounded, and Yi Hongchen turned his head slightly, and at a glance he saw the long hair hiding behind a large stone. Suddenly, the corner of his mouth raised, and in the next second, Yi Hongchen came directly in front of the big rock. The finger was slightly pressed against the big stone, and then the big stone seemed to be unable to withstand Yi Hongchen's power, and it broke inexplicably at this time. Bang! The stone was completely broken, and the person hiding behind the big stone suddenly appeared in Yi Hongchen's line of sight. With long gray hair, even the skin is dark blue, like an elf wearing a light black armor. It looks like a general. The sky blue eyes were full of killing intent at this moment, but there was also a trace of fear. The two groups in front of her, as well as her appearance, all indicated that she was a woman. Just by looking at her appearance, she was even more beautiful than Alan. She was a first-class beauty, but her complexion was dark blue, which made her perfect appearance also attacked. "Who are you? What's the matter when you come to the land of my underworld?" Dancing in the wind, and then retreating, clenching his fists, putting on a fighting appearance. "Are you dancing with the wind?" Yi Hongchen couldn't help but feel happy when she saw this woman dancing with the wind in Wu Gengji. "Asked you first, not you asking me." Chapter 0109. This goal is a bit difficult. I'm asking you first, not you asking me. After Swifenka was said, a curved blade suddenly appeared in his hand, and the next moment, he directly killed Yi Hongchen. Can't be wrong. This slightly unreasonable character has already proved her identity, dancing with the wind. I can't find a place to step through the iron shoes. It takes no effort to get it. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchun suddenly smiled. The next moment, because of the lack of sunlight, the light around them became extremely dim and suddenly lost its color, leaving only gray and white as colorless. What? When everything became colorless, dancing with the wind only felt that his body was suddenly oppressed by a powerful oppressive force. Even the offensive to kill Yi Hongchun completely disintegrated at this moment. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Yi Hongchun watched as he danced in the wind with an uncertain complexion, and a faint smile appeared again. In the next moment, a strong air current directly swept the whole person dancing with the wind in front of Yi Hongchun. Dancing with the wind can't resist. Seeing Yi Hongchun getting closer and closer, his eyes condensed, holding a curved blade in his hand, and stab Yi Hongchun fiercely. Bang! It is a pity that an invisible wall appeared in front of Yi Hongchun, making the curved blade dancing with the wind impossible to penetrate. Colorless wall. And it's an extremely powerful colorless wall. And this colorless divine power was understood by only one person in the entire world. Lord of the Protoss, God. Thinking of this, the eyes dancing with the wind suddenly became extremely shocked. God actually came to their underworld in person. Could it be that they knew that they were going to roll up the Second World War of the Xinming clan again? What's wrong? Looking at your face, it seems a little unhappy, Yi Hongchun said lightly as he watched the wind dancing in front of him. The next moment, Yi Hongchun thought, and the colorless divine power directly rushed in to dance with the wind. The colorless wall that originally stood in front of Yi Hongchun was also directly removed by Yi Hongchun, and it seemed that no defensive measures had been taken. Good chance. Dancing with the wind and seeing it, the curved blade in his hand suddenly burst into a faint light. Spell. Dancing with the wind once again swung a curved blade to Yi Hongchun's neck. Upon seeing this, Yi Hongchun frowned slightly and beckoned softly. A colorless divine power directly hit the wrist, dancing with the wind. Dancing with the wind and painful, he subconsciously released the curved blade. The next moment, the curved blade was directly squeezed by the terrifying colorless power, and it was completely shattered. Boom! Yi Hongchun took a light step, and in an instant he came directly to the face of Dancing with the Wind, and suddenly he took a little tall Dancing with the Wind into his arms. I really don't know how to cherish life. If I want to kill you, you've just died no less than 1,000 times. Yi Hongchun forcibly hugged and danced with the wind, feeling the fragrance from her, and could not help but said faintly, "It seems that he really cares about dancing with the wind." In the next instant, a gray-white colorless wall directly imprisoned Dancing with the Wind completely, making her unable to move, and she couldn't push Yi Hongchun away at all. Let go. Suifeng Kiwu seemed to have fire in her eyes. For Yi Hongchun, there was only endless killing in her heart. Dancing with the wind, walking against the sky, and growing up together, childhood sweethearts, wanting to capture her heart is not as easy as Alan. Thinking of this, Yi Hongchun's heart couldn't help but sink. Although cabbage seemed easy to capture, it was too small, and Yi Hongchun was completely disdainful. Going against the sky? I'll let you do it first. Thinking of this, a black dragon suddenly appeared behind Yi Hongchun, directly entwining the whole person dancing with the wind. Chapter 0110. Then I will kill him, dancing with the wind. As long as you promise to be my woman, I won't bother to go against the sky. Yi Hongchun looked at the Dancing with the Wind, who was entangled and hung in front of him by the black dragon, and still smiled. There are difficult tasks, which are challenging. Hoo-hoo-hoo. When the words were over, the colorless divine power was instantly removed by Yi Hongchun, and the colors of the surrounding scenery began to recover. You are the Lord of the Protoss. God. It took a long time to dance with the wind before the mood became quiet again. Yes, but you can call my real name Yi Hongchun. Yi Hongchun nodded slightly, but did not lie. Dancing with the wind. After hearing Yi Hongchun's words, he said nothing and did not struggle. as if he had given up struggling. Seeing this, Yi Hongchen didn't look for boredom anymore. He punched out, and all the rocks in front of him were completely broken at this moment. Rock springs flowed out of the broken mountains. It didn't take long for the original Pure Land to be invaded by magma. Stop! What are you doing? Swifenkawu finally couldn't help it after seeing Yi Hongchen smashing 3 rock mountains one after another. Since you don't want to be my woman, then I can only force him to go against the sky and let him die in front of you when the time comes. While Yi Hongchen spoke, he destroyed another rocky mountain, and bursts of lava flowed from high to low. Even where Yi Hongchen was, only the area where he was standing was left without magma flowing, and the other areas were completely covered by magma, like a volcanic area. Dancing with the wind entangled by the body of the black dragon, even can feel the heat from the magma. It seems that as long as she falls in, it won't take long. She will be burned to death by this temperature. Madman, you are a madman. If this goes on, there will be no place where the entire underworld can sacrifice. Sui Fenki Dance looked at Yi Hongchen and said angrily, "It's very simple. Being my woman, I won't destroy the underworld." Yi Hongchen stood with his hands in his hand and said lightly as he watched Dancing with the Wind, "Why do you have to choose me?" Sui Fengki Wu heard Yi Hongchen's emphasis again, and doubts arose in her heart. "Oh Wu, don't worry. He can't destroy the entire underworld, and we will soon regain our territory." At this time, a generous and powerful voice sounded. In front of Yi Hongchen, a man slowly flew up. He was wearing a gray mask, covering his entire face. His long hair was tied into a ponytail, with a long sword hanging from his waist. Grand Marshal of the Underworld, going against the sky. Grand Marshal, seeing going against the sky, Sui Feng Qiu had a look of admiration in her eyes, even if Yi Hongchen didn't want to pay attention. He walked against the sky and came to Yi Hongchen, staring at Yi Hongchen coldly, holding his hand on the hilt of the sword. "No matter who you are from the Protoss, move Wu, there's only one result, death." Yi Hongchen hadn't spoken yet, and the words that went against the sky had passed into his ears. Dancing with the Wind, do you agree? Yi Hongchen slowly closed his eyes and asked faintly. "You dream." Dancing with the Wind said coldly without any hesitation. When she was walking against the sky, she only felt a warm sun before her eyes, and it seemed that nothing could stop her walking against the sky. Okay. Yi Hongchen opened his eyes, with murderous intent in his eyes. He walked a few steps straight, his dark as ink eyes facing the sky-defying eyes. "Then I will kill him." Chapter 0111. Forcing others for the first time, then I will kill him. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, his colorless divine power broke out in an instant. The ground that could only be touched by the eyes lost its color. At this moment, the entire underworld has no color. Even the people living in the underworld are all overwhelmed by a terrifying, oppressive force on the ground, unable to move. Hey, what is going on? The body can't move anymore. More than the body, look at the surroundings, as well as ourselves. It seems that all have become petrified. So, will we turn into stones in the end? Don't say that. You look around, it's also grayish-white. Suddenly, a man of the underworld was overwhelmed on the ground, lying on the ground and pointing to the gray-white water flowing down quickly in front of him. "Look, what is that? Isn't it the water of the human world?" "I don't understand, no. It's flowing towards us." Those water streams are amazingly the magma produced by Yi Hongchen crushing the Rocky Mountains. The other side, after Yi Hongchen released his colorless divine power, walking against the sky was originally indifferent and calmly no longer existed. Even at this moment, his standing body is a bit difficult. It seems that he is about to be unable to hold on. Colorless supernatural power. Who are you?" A few drops of white sweat came out of the gray skin, running against the sky, running down the forehead and onto the face. In the whole world, there's only one person with colorless power at the moment. That is, the Lord of the Protoss. Yi Hongchen looked at him with a playful appearance. "Call." In the next moment, Yi Hongchen suddenly came out in front of him, walking against the sky, with the black dragon entangled and dancing in the wind. Roar! A long black dragon appeared again behind Yi Hongchun, with a mouth that directly bit against the sky, but did not completely bite him in half. Choose. If you want his life, just be my woman. If you don't want his life, nothing can change. Yi Hongchun looked at the dancing with the wind, already stunned. His face was extremely cold, and even his tone was extremely plain. Is going against the sky so weak? Of course not. In comparison, his strength is probably not his opponent, even if the 6 gods of the Protoss are all combined. But in front of Yi Hongchun, he was completely like a trash without the strength of a battle. This was because Yi Hongchun was too strong. Although he was strong against the sky at this moment, he still failed to grow up. After a while, Yi Hongchun couldn't help but shook his head slightly. Break him. Wait. I promise you, be your woman. When the black dragon was about to bite against the sky in half, he danced with the wind and shouted directly. After saying this, she suddenly lost strength, as if she had used all her strength to shout out this sentence. Call. Hearing the words of dancing with the wind, Yi Hongchun directly retracted the black dragon, took the dancing with the wind, and walked away. Lying against the sky on the ground, watching Yi Hongchun farther and farther, clenched his fists. God! Wait, I'm going against the sky, and I'm sure to completely disintegrate the divine power and break you into pieces. Holy area. A large house built on top of the clouds still has colorful flowers inside. Coupled with the soft sunshine, it looks like a fairyland. Still wearing a gray, tight-fitting armor, dancing with the wind, sitting among the flowers, looking at the sun hanging in the sky, there was a strong longing in his eyes. Man, how are you? 10 days, dancing with the wind. I have no patience. Chapter 0112. There's this kind of operation, man. How are you? When dancing with the wind and thinking back to the side against the sky, Yi Hongchun, who was dressed in white, walked behind her. 10 days, dancing with the wind. I have no patience. Yi Hongchun said faintly as she watched her long gray hair dancing in the wind. Since he brought dancing with the wind from the underworld to the realm of God, his attitude towards dancing with the wind has been meticulous. Even this room is a unique area that Yi Hongchun arranged for her. The entire Protoss also knows the sky. After a meeting, there is a woman of the Nether race. It seems that he likes the woman of the Nether race very much. He even announced to the public in front of all the senior leaders of the Protoss. From now on, dancing with the wind will be his woman. Unfortunately, in the past 10 days, he had never heard the electronic sound of the system, and he knew that this method was totally unworkable. Patience? What is the purpose to enable the dignified Lord of the Gods to put all their minds on me for so many days? Hearing Yi Hongchun's words, she slowly stood up with the wind dancing, looked towards Yi Hongchun, and said coldly. There was an incomparable coldness in his eyes, and there was no trace of soft color at all. It seems that I was completely wrong. If a woman's heart is filled with a man, it will be difficult for another person to enter her heart. Yi Hongchun shook his head slightly. There were less than 10 days left, and he didn't want to continue wasting time on dancing with the wind. After speaking, Yi Hongchun hugged him and danced with the wind, stretched out his hand, and the door was immediately closed. Yi Hongchun, if you move me, I will commit suicide directly here. Anyway, I will return to the underworld if I die. The divine power that danced with the wind was completely sealed by Yi Hongchun, so she didn't have the slightest resistance either. And this reason was the one she used the most in these 10 days. Every time she used this reason, Yi Hongchun would be helpless. However, Yi Hongchun doesn't care about her today. Since she can't get her heart, the people who get her are not bad. Maybe she is not the tentative heroine at all. She is also the second or even the third woman, and he will spend the last less than 10 days looking for cabbage. It's okay. Anyway, I only want to get your body now, and everything else doesn't matter. Yi Hongchun shook his head slightly, and his body moved, and he came to a very well-decorated bed with many flowers engraved on the side, each of which was lifelike. This was also what Yi Hongchun prepared for dancing with the wind, but he couldn't break the line of defense in her heart at all. Despite the resistance of dancing with the wind, Yi Hongchun forcibly occupied dancing with the wind on the evening of the 20th day after arriving in Wu Gengji. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully capturing the body of a tentative heroine and getting the opportunity to return to the main world immediately. And the reward of retaining the 3-tier cultivation base and returning to the main world. When Hongchen was just doing that, the system prompt sounded in his mind, and then Hongchen directly followed the wind and danced into the night without any scruples. Hongchen, lying on the bed, was obviously in a very good mood, completely different from dancing with the wind lying on the other side. I know, you hate me now, and you even want me to die directly, but do you think that an incomplete you is just against the sky? Hongchen looked at dancing with the wind with his back to him, shook his head slightly, and said cold words. Dancing with the wind did not speak, but Hongchen left after putting it on herself. Now that he has completed the task, it doesn't matter here anymore. After just telling Xin Yuekui that he is going to fall asleep, he will return directly to the main world. Chapter 0113. Energy Storage. Xin Yuekui Fox. Go and explain to Xinyan, I will fall asleep again. If there is nothing important, don't have to call me. After Hongchen gave instructions to Xin Yuekui, a huge black dragon flew over and opened his mouth. Hongchen flew directly into the black dragon's big mouth, came to the place where Wu Gengji had been sitting for the first time before, and closed his eyes slightly. To say that this time Wu Gengji, dancing with the wind, he has no feelings at all, except as a tool for tasks. Alan, he seems to have a little feeling for her. However, this system didn't say at all that it could bring people back to the main world together, so Hongchen didn't go back to find Alan either, so she thought he was dead, which was fine. Ding, do you return to the main world? Note, once you return, the world will be closed, and you can only return after you check in again to get a chance. Yes, Hongchen said directly after scanning the notes at random. In the next moment, Hongchen only felt that his body was light and fluttering, being stripped directly from Tion's body, passing through the spaces. Those spaces seemed to be able to destroy him with so little power. A small voice sounded. An array of light appeared directly in front of Hongchen's eyes, and he suddenly passed through this white spot of light. Then, Hongchen became unconscious. Yintian continent, Dongzhou, 800 kilometers away from Wulongyuan. A burst of white light appeared above a green forest, and then a young man wearing a white gown suddenly appeared from the white light. The boy had just appeared, apparently in a coma, and fell straight from the sky to the ground, and the ground was smashed into a small pit in the shape of a person. Hongchen only felt a soreness in his body, and could not help but slowly open his eyes, a dazzling sunlight shining into Hongchen's heart. Have you come back? Hongchen slowly stood up from the ground, looking at his clothes and the long sword hanging from his waist. Ding, it's useless to detect that the host has 6 check-in opportunities. Do you want to check in? At this time, an electronic sound rang in Hongchen's mind, making him startled. 6 times? When he went to Wu Gengji, it was just time to check in, but now he has 6 chances to check in once a week. In other words, 42 days have passed since he left the Yintian continent, but Wu Gengji has only survived for 21 days. No, a lot of things can happen in 42 days. I will go and see what happened in the past month. Hongchen shook his head slightly, did not rush to clock in, but was rather worried about what happened in the past month. Just about to leave, Hongchen only felt that the scene in front of him suddenly began to fade, and the next moment, all the tones were gray and white. Ho. 3 breathing times. The forest that was originally very green started to turn into powder at this moment and gradually dissipated. What's going on? Hongchen closed his eyes, thinking that he had an illusion, but when he opened his eyes again, everything was still the same. He was suddenly a little confused. Ding, because the golden core in the host Dantian is too small to tolerate 30% of the strength of the heavens. So I put those powers in the host's eyes. As if feeling Hongchen's doubts, in his mind, the electronic sound of the system sounded again. If Hongchen could see his eyes, he would find that the original azure blue eyes had turned gray-white at this moment, like a dead thing in solitude. There is no vitality, Chapter 0114. Punch Outbreak. Yi Hongchen closed his eyes and directly felt a strong death in his eyes. It seems that there are not many people who can survive by him. Yi Hongchen tried to remove this power, but did not expect that the power would be removed easily. But it did not disappear. It seems that Yi Hongchen wants to use it, and the power just now can be used instantly. This power can be counted as a pupil technique. If you meet Jun Hao Ian, can you catch my eye? Yi Hongchen opened his eyes slowly. His blue eyes were like stars. Thinking of Jun Hao Ian, Yi Hongchen really wanted to try. Heavenly Cloud Nation, the capital of the country. The Heavenly Cloud Nation is one of the 4 major forces, and a force under the Juechen Palace can be ranked first. He was dressed in white, and even though he had broken a few small holes, he still didn't erase the dusty temperament of that person. Yi Hongchen walked on the streets of Guidu, and pedestrians subconsciously made way for him. Juechen Tower. Yi Hongchen muttered while standing in front of a tall building, looking at the plaque. After messing up his hair and draping it in front of his eyes, Yi Hongchen walked in. Compared with the excitement outside, the Juechen building was extremely quiet. In the palm of the counter, sitting a middle-aged man, Yi Hongchen walked straight to him. Check it out for me. All the big news in this more than 1 month. Yi Hongchen went out of the storage ring with a token of the core disciple of Juechen Palace. After taking a look, the middle-aged man turned around and quickly took out 2 pieces of paper and handed it to Yi Hongchen. No, it's all here. Hey, I really didn't expect that our young palace master of the Absolute Qin Palace led the team once and was killed on the spot by the great elder of the Heavenly Immortal Pavilion. After the middle-aged man gave the paper to Yi Hongchen, he obviously remembered something and sighed in a depressed mood. Yi Hongchen heard the words, smiled without saying a word, took 2 pieces of paper, and walked up to the 2nd floor and sat on a table. Yintian, July 15th, 3609. Yi Hongchen led the top 10 disciples from the outer gate of Juechen Palace into Wulangyuan and killed the disciples of the other 3 forces in Wulangyuan. Among them, Qian Shuiying of Luosha Gate and Huang Jinyan of Qinyuezong were seriously injured by Yi Hongchen of Juechen Palace. Fairy Lycan in Tianxian Pavilion's farewell dream was even more, so that Yi Hongchen was forced to take possession of it. The great elder of the Tianxian Pavilion came and killed Yi Hongchen on July 19th. The son of the earth, one of the 4 great princes of the generation, fell. Yi Lingyun of Juechen Palace defeated Mo, ran strongly, and ascended as the lord of the young palace, ranking one of the 4 great arrogances, the name Deng Tiangongzi. The following news were all trivial things that Yi Hongchen didn't know, so he didn't read it anymore. Unexpectedly, my cousin had 2 more times, and he was able to defeat Mo Ran, dyeing the belly of the small belly chicken intestines with ink. It is probably going to explode. Yi Hongchen thought of this and smiled slightly. He didn't have much resistance to the title without the position of Young Palace Master, because Juechen Palace has a battle for the Young Palace Master every month. If you want to safely become the Young Palace Master, you can only serve as the Young Palace Master for 6 consecutive months. After randomly choosing a room in the Juechen building, Yi Hongchen sat on the bed. System clock in. Ding, congratulations to the host. You have successfully clocked in. Get the star sword. Ding, congratulations to the host. Successfully clocked in. Get the Shura magic finger. Ding, congratulations to the host. You have successfully clocked in and got a spirit gathering pill. Ding, congratulations to the host. You have successfully clocked in and got an excitement pill. Ding, get a pair of Shura armor. Ding, get an upgrade card. Chapter 0115. Excited heart, shaking hands. Ding, because there are too many punches at one time. The next time for punching in is 1 month later. After the electronic sound of the system disappeared, in front of Yi Hongchen, there were 6 objects floating, all of them exuding their unique light. A blue sword, a blood-red ring, a pill that emits blue light, a pill that emits red light, a pair of red and black armor, and a white card. Star sword. Yi Hongchen slowly took down the blue long sword floating in the front and placed it in his palm. The blade is about the length of the arm of a 15-year-old boy. The width of the blade is about 1 inch. The center of the blade is broken open, forming a 5-pointed star. There are 5 places, 5 5-pointed stars. Yi Hongchen lightly flicked the sword body with his index finger, and the sound of the sword sound instantly resounded throughout the room. Xingqian's sword. This rank surpasses the sky rank. Should it reach the emperor rank? Yi Hongchen looked at the blue star sword with a satisfied smile, opened a mouth directly on the index finger, and dripped blood on the star sword. The next moment, Xing Qinjian was trembling, and Yi Hongchen only felt that he and Xing Qinjian had established a connection, and they were intimate. Taking out the long sword at his waist, Yi Hongchen did not hesitate at all, and the two swords collided fiercely. Bang! The star sword and the long sword before Yi Hongchen collided, and the star sword was intact. But his previous long sword was directly broken, just like cutting tofu. Good guy. This silver sword is a middle-ranked weapon. I didn't expect it to be touched so lightly, and it was gone. Yi Hongchen was very satisfied, and randomly tossed the broken silver sword, and then put the star sword in the scabbard. I'll go with the scabbard later. This ring looks pretty good. Yi Hongchen took off the second thing, a blood-red ring. On the top of the ring, a pair of red eyes were engraved, and it looked a little frightening. After dripping blood to recognize the Lord, Yi Hongchen's spiritual sense pierced into the ring, and when he entered, he almost missed his glasses, because the space inside is too big, too vast. It's as big as his entire Juechen palace, compared with the 100 square meters of space in his hand. That is exactly one sky and one underground. This Shura Lord of the Rings is good. I will use this ring. After Yi Hongchen moved all the things in his storage ring to the Shura Lord of the Rings, he looked at other things. Spirit Gathering Pill. It can make the users flood the surrounding spiritual energy within 3 hours, reaching a certain degree of spiritual energy. Excitement Pill. It can increase the explosive power of all attributes to 15% within 1 hour, and there are no side effects. Although these 2 medicines are indeed good, they are not available now. Yi Hongchen took out 2 empty bottles and filled the 2 medicines, then looked at the last 2 items. A pair of red and black armor. No headgear, but a half-red, generally black mask. On the shoulders, each was engraved with the head of an unknown fierce beast. It looked like it was full of evil spirits. The whole was uniform, and there was a black cloak behind it. On the whole, it looks majestic, like an unbeaten general's. After Yi Hongchen dropped his blood and recognized the Lord, this Shura armor was immediately submerged in Yi Hongchen's body, and with every thought, he wore it directly on Yi Hongchen's body. After Yi Hongchen had played enough, he put the Shura armor away and looked at the last thing. White Upgrade Card, Chapter 0116. Possessing Sword Heart, White Upgrade Card. Yi Hongchen directly clamped the upgrade card and placed it in front of him. Somehow he didn't understand the usage. System, how do you use this card? Or is it useful? Since I don't understand, I naturally need to ask about the system. After all, this is a product of it. Ding, the upgrade card, as the name suggests, is to upgrade the user to a functional level, such as exercises, martial arts, etc. Sure enough, the guess in Yi Hongchen's heart was correct, and the electronic sound of the system suddenly sounded. Just upgrade your sword skills. Yi Hongchen crushed it without hesitation. At the next moment, the staging stagnation suddenly turned into a white mist, and it plunged into the center of Yi Hongchen's eyebrows. A swordsman can be called a swordsman if he has a sword heart first, then a sword power, and finally a sword intent. Yi Hongchen seemed to have been instilled in some top-notch swordsmanship all of a sudden, and the previous unknown in his heart at this moment were all clear by this force. In Yi Hongchen's body, the beating heart at this moment stopped beating for a second. A small sword shadow suddenly appeared above the heart, exuding bursts of terrifying sword aura. Yi Hongchen stood up suddenly and picked up the star sword placed on the table in one hand. The next moment, on the body of the Xingqian sword, it broke through the 5-pointed star hole, and at this moment, it was emitting a dazzling blue light. Yi Hongchen slowly put the sword on his waist. Even without the hilt, at this moment, a terrifying coercion suddenly burst out of his body. Like a sword light, Swordsmanship. In Yi Hongchen's blue eyes, a dark blue light suddenly lit up, and a sword was quickly swung. Then he turned his back. The long sword was still placed on his waist, as if he hadn't moved anything at all just now. Boom! In the next moment, in the capital of Tianyin Nation, on the main street, the ground suddenly cracked. The ground starting from the third floor of the Juechen building had all cracks in it, making it uniform. It's like being cut apart with a huge sword. People with bad luck happened to be hit by this force and split in half instantly. Even some people didn't pay attention to the crack that appeared suddenly and fell directly into the crack. Husband. Damn it. Who the hell was he who dared to kill my husband? Unfortunately, the third princess of Tianyin Kingdom was shopping on the street with her husband, who just married today. As a result, his husband suddenly became two halves, and even the ground was cracked, causing her to yell. And her shouting immediately drove some people with bad luck. All of them cried and cried, saying that they would kill the innocent indiscriminately, and begging King Tianyin to be the master for them. After hearing the noise outside, Yi Hongchen gradually recovered from the feeling just now. This sword is too terrifying, right? If it is Jun Haoyan, I'm afraid I can't resist it at all. Yi Hongchen was secretly surprised as he watched the cracks in his room, spreading to the street where he didn't know where. Look, the first trace of this sword mark is here. I think the assassin who issued that sword must be inside. At this time, a group of people who didn't think it was too big to watch the excitement came directly to the Juechen building and shouted directly to the ground. Okay, this princess wants to see which assassin was inside that unexpectedly assassinated my husband. Yi Hongchen's mouth twitched as he listened to the movement from outside and the footsteps of the shopkeeper of the Juechen building getting closer. Yes, I had a bugger on the first day I came back. At the thought of this, a faint blue light suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body. Chapter 0117. The killer, when the treasurer of Juechen building was about to reach Yi Hongchen's room, a faint blue light suddenly appeared on Yi Hongchen's body. Light as a swallow. Yi Hongchen moved his feet and flew directly out of the windows on the third floor, and the people who had just gathered underneath could not even see Yi Hongchen. Juechen Tower? What about the Juechen Tower? Under the public, the husband who killed my husband must have an explanation. Yi Hongchen walked on the street, still hearing the curse of the shrew, and suddenly shook his head slightly. I don't know who your husband is. You can only blame him for bad luck if you kill him. After speaking, Yi Hongchen left the street straight to the center of the capital, but did not see a person standing on the second floor on the side of the road. The man was dressed in white with a silver mask on his face. He seemed to be just 1.6 meters tall, and he was holding a portrait in his hand. Yes, I found you. Hey, have you heard that there's an ancient relic in the Kilian Mountains outside our capital? Yi Hongchen, who originally wanted to go to the capital to see the king, suddenly heard a young man on the side of the road talking to the people next to him. Ancient ruins? Yi Hongchen's footsteps slowly stopped, and he glanced at him casually, her long hair covering Yi Hongchen's face. I heard, it is said that the first-class power elephant sect, Jinmin, and our country have all sent people to it. Hey, what are you? According to rumors, Juechen Palace also sent someone to the ruins. Hey, this Juechen Palace was also shocked. It seems that this ruin is not simple. Let's go too. Even if there's no chance, it's not bad to have a look. In this way, the two sect disciples who didn't know which sect walked towards the outside of the capital, and Yi Hongchen also changed direction and followed closely. Just following a street, a man wearing a silver mask and holding a long sword suddenly came out, blocking Yi Hongchen's path. A burst of white light emerged from her body, and a murderous intent also rose from her body. After seeing the mask on the man's face, the surrounding pedestrians left in a hurry as if they had seen a plague god, and they didn't even have time to look at Yi Hongchen. Who is your excellency? Yi Hongchen's eyes hidden under his hair sank. Could it be that the news that he was not dead has spread? Xingxinglu's silver-faced killer, Yi Xuening. The woman who stood in front of Yi Hongchen said coldly. Xingxinglu, a famous killer organization in Dongzhou, is divided into 5 types of killer levels: bronze, silver, gold, jade, and purple. As soon as the voice fell, Yi Shiwening's long sword moved, and a white glow appeared on his body, disappearing instantly. Call! The next moment, in front of Yi Hongchen, a white long sword appeared directly, taking his throat straight. Congenital and late Tiangang realm. Feeling the power of this sword, Yi Hongchen directly sensed this person's cultivation base. A little bit below his feet, Yi Hongchen's body suddenly dimmed, and the long sword pierced his body. Then, that Yi Hongchen dissipated directly. After image, the silver-faced killer stood in Yi Hongchen's position, secretly surprised. Oh, the person you're going to kill is not me. Yi Hongchen stood behind the silver-faced assassin, looked at a piece of white paper in his hand, and said to her. Yi Hongchen thought that the news of his immortality was known, and only after snatching a piece of white paper from the waist of the silver-faced killer did he understand. On the white paper, there was an impressively sloppy young man with his hair covering his face, which was 7 points similar to Yi Hongchen at this time. The name is also indicated below, which is also the name. Let Yi Hongchen know that this is a misunderstanding. Chapter 0118. Receiving the Thunderblade with bare hands, Lu Wuxin. I don't call Lu Wuxin. After Yi Hongchen finished speaking, he straightened his hair back, revealing his handsome and extraordinary face. When the silver-faced killer heard the words, he seemed to be thinking about something, and he snorted coldly. I will surely get a bounty when Yi Shiwening makes a move. Although it is a misunderstanding today, as long as you pay my bounty, you can also spare you. No, I think it's better to kill you. Yi Hongchen shook his head slightly and put one hand in front of him, as if he was making a request. Upon seeing this, Yixining's face suddenly fell cold, and said coldly, well, if that's the case, let you die under my Yixining's sword. Ben Lei. Yixining held a long sword and suddenly raised it above her head. A blue thunder hit her long sword from the sky in broad daylight. But she still has nothing to do. Even her sword is the same. Only on the sword body, there is a flash of blue light. This is the sword technique of Jianmin, but it is a little different. Unexpectedly, the disciple of Jianmin would also act as a killer. Yi Hongchen couldn't help but shook his head slightly after seeing the thunder light flashing above Yixining's sword. Sword Gate is a first-rate force in the jurisdiction of Juechen Palace. It only accepts sword repairs and is famous for its attribute swordsmanship. Attribute swordsmanship is the swordsmanship with attributes such as gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, while the thundering swordsmanship is undoubtedly the lightning attribute swordsmanship. You still have some knowledge. Then do you know the power of this swordsmanship? Yixining, who wears a silver mask, couldn't help feeling a little proud when he heard Yi Hongchen's words. The thunder sword technique is based on powerful thunder. For the advanced and deep, a sword can shake a mountain and destroy everything. Since you know, why don't you pay the bounty soon? Then I will spare you. Hearing the words of the silver-faced killer Yi Shiwening, Yi Hongchen suddenly smiled slightly. I'm sorry. As long as I don't want to, no one can force it. Okay, take the move. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Yi Shiwening pierced out with his sword. Boom! A burst of thunder sounded instantly, and then a blue thunder appeared in front of Yi Hongchen's eyes. Under this thunder, the ground in front of Yi Hongchen turned black and even seemed to be about to burst. Good coming, Long Quan. Yi Hongchen's mouth raised, and the hand that was placed in front of him fisted directly, hitting the thunder and lightning in front of him all at once. What? He actually wants to take over my rushing thunder swordsmanship with his bare hands. Isn't he going to die? After seeing Yi Hongchen hit her sword thunder with a punch, the silver-faced killer Yi Shiwening was a little shocked. Boom! Hold head high. In the next moment, thunder sounded on this street, accompanied by a burst of dragons. The roadside stalls, even houses and shops, were actually affected by the aftermath of this blow. The dust dissipated. Yi Hongchen stood with his hands behind his back and stood with his hands behind his back. His long black hair was also swept behind by the wind just caused. Don't move. Even the white clothes on her body are not damaged or dirty. What? Unexpectedly, nothing. The silver-faced killer Yi Shiwening saw the straight Yi Hongchen standing upright, and suddenly became somewhat inconceivable. Yi Hongchen looked at the silver-faced assassin in front of him and said slightly, "Is there any trick? Let's do it. I'm in a hurry." Arrogant. Upon hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Yi Shiwening held a long sword and rushed towards Yi Hongchen. "Dos masi, dos. Call." A white light appeared on her body, and the figure that rushed over suddenly disappeared. And when she appeared again, she had come to Yi Hongchen. Go to hell, Lei Xiao. Chapter 0119. Hidden Identity Boom. Immediately after Yixining's words fell, a blue light appeared on her sword again, surrounded by thunder. Chao Yi Hongchen's head beheaded. If Yi Hongchen is really hit by her sword, there is no doubt that Yi Hongchen will be cut in half. Boom! Yi Hongchen, who was standing in front of Yixining, disappeared. Yi Shiwening's sword fell directly on the ground. "It's me," Yi Hongchen said lightly, standing behind Yi Shiwening. In the next moment, Yi Hongchen raised his foot and hit Yi Shiwening's buttocks with a kick. Bang! Yi Shiwening flew out violently, and the moment he hit a wall, the wall collapsed. All of a sudden, Yi Shiwening's whole body was buried by the falling gravel. Life and death unknown. "I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill evil." Yi Hongchen suddenly smiled as he looked at the collapsed shop in front of him. The light blue light suddenly appeared on his body, and in the next moment, it directly turned into an afterimage and disappeared on the street. Cough, cough, cough. Yi Shiwening used a gas mask to push away the crushed stones on her body, just about to find Yi Hongchen to settle the account. As a result, the street in front of her was empty, and the person who beat her was nowhere to be found. "Okay, I remember your looks. Wait, I will retaliate against you fiercely." Yi Shue, who couldn't see Yi Hongchen, angrily wanted to take off the mask on her face and slammed to the ground, only to realize that the mask had disappeared. Yixining without a mask suddenly revealed her face. She has a slightly yellowish skin, but she is still hydrated. Her big eyes look very naive, and most importantly, she looks only 16 years old. 16-year-old congenital late stage. It can be compared with the geniuses cultivated by the big four forces. That guy. When did you take my mask away? After realizing that the mask belonging to the silver-faced killer level of the star-picking tower was missing, Yi Shiwening continued to look around fiercely, trying to find Yi Hongchen. It is said that Master has arrived in the Killian Mountains outside the capital of Heavenly Cloud Nation. I will first find Master and then investigate the details of this person just now. When the time comes, Smithy. Master, the scabbard you want will take about 3 days to be completed. An extremely tall man said to Yi Hongchen, who was dressed in white. Well, in 3 days, I will come here to find you. This is a deposit. The ring on Yi Hongchen's finger was glowing red, and fist-sized bags suddenly appeared in his hands. The tall man is the blacksmith in this forge, and can only build things of the mortal rank, but for Yi Hongchen, this is enough. After handling the scabbard, Yi Hongchen asked the blacksmith about the location of the Killian Mountains and rushed towards the Killian Mountains. Killian Mountains, the center. At the center of the mountain range at this moment, a pyramid-like building appeared suddenly, showing an earthy red color. In front of the square, there was a group of people, all of them young disciples, and a few were middle-aged and old. 3 first-class forces, Jianmin, Elephant Sect, Qingyan Mountain, and I don't know how many second-rate forces, third-rate forces, or even influential forces. In short, in today's Killian Mountains, the monsters dare not even show up, and they don't know where to hide. Yi Hongchen stood on a big tree and looked at everyone below. He didn't know when he had already put on a silver mask on his face. This mask was surprisingly the silver-faced killer mask of the Star-Picking Tower. Naturally, it was taken from Yixining. Chapter 0120. Would attribute sword technique 16 were in the Yuan Dan realm in the late Jinan stage. 23 were in the Golden Dan holding the Dan realm in the middle stage, and 39 were in the early Jinan Dan realm. Yi Hongchen looked at the dense crowd below, and after feeling their cultivation, he couldn't help frowning. If all these people really enter this unknown ruin, the young man really doesn't have much chance. As for those who have reached the Golden Core stage, they are obviously all elders or sect masters of various forces, not disciples. Where's the kid? Hiding in a tree. Get out of me! Just when Yi Hongchen wanted to observe one or two more times, a voice suddenly came into his ears. The next moment, Yi Hongchen only felt a strong wind coming from behind him, and he moved his feet and immediately left the branch. Click! After Yi Hongchen left the branch where he stood was broken and fell to the ground. The attacker was a young man wearing a blue long dress and a sword at his mouth. His face looked close to 20, and his body exuded a whiff of air. Yi Hongchen stood on another branch and looked at the young man under the tree with cold eyes. Disciple of Jianmin? The clothing on that young man's body was indeed Jianmin's clothing, and the sword on the fierce mouth could easily be seen. Boy, I asked you to come down, didn't you hear it? The young man suddenly became a little dissatisfied when he saw Yi Hongchen went to another branch. Oh, someone else provokes Lu Ying from Jianmin. It's really unlucky to get home. Who said no? Since we just came here, Lu Ying has driven away at least 30 people. Now, I am afraid that one more person will be leaving. Isn't it a good thing to go? Anyway, if there are fewer people, our opponents will be one less. After seeing Yi Hongchen being attacked by Lu Ying of the Sword Gate, the people who were waiting for the ruins to open suddenly looked over. If I don't go down, what shall you do? Yi Hongchen stood on the branch and looked at Lu Ying condescendingly. After Lu Ying felt Yi Hongchen's scornful gaze, she couldn't help but back down. He just wants some idle people to wait to leave. Otherwise, he will have fewer opportunities in the ruins. So he will pick some people who don't seem strong. Just now I saw Yi Hongchen standing on the branches with a mask, so I felt that he was weak and didn't dare to show his true colors. If you don't come down, Lu Ying, my sword gate will beat you down. Lu Ying saw that the crowd around him gradually increased and continued with his scalpel wake. This time he learned the best and first moved out of the name of Jianmin. Oh, Jianmin heard about it, but I haven't heard of Lu Ying. After Yi Hongchen held his hands, the contempt in his eyes became more and more obvious. Although Yi Hongchen didn't want to cause trouble now, if the trouble personally caused him, then he was not afraid at all. A qualified martial artist has the courage to challenge and pick things up. You. Good. Today I'm the one who saw the sword skills of my sword. After Lu Ying heard Yi Hongchen's words, her face turned blue with anger, and she directly drew out the sword in her hand. Konoha swordsmanship hit. In the next second, a burst of green light suddenly appeared on Lu Ying's sword, and it suddenly swung towards Yi Hongchen. Shoo! Green leaves appeared directly beside Lu Ying, sharp as a blade, and flew towards Yi Hongchen on the tree in an instant. Swordsmen's attribute sword technique, although it is only the wood attribute with the penultimate attack power, is not something ordinary people can take. Chapter 0121. My name's Shura. Seeing the green light emitting from Lu Ying Jian, one of the onlookers suddenly shook his head. That's not necessarily true. Do you think that person is wearing an ordinary mask? Someone nearby seemed to recognize the silver mask on Yi Hongchen's face and suddenly smiled. Hi, you mean? The silver mask is... Hush, let alone. If Lu Ying heard it, we wouldn't be able to watch this good show. It would be boring to wait for the opening of the ruins anyway. Haha, you are really bad-hearted. After being said that by others, the person who recognized the mask disagreed, and instead smiled more presumptuously. The silver-faced assassin of the Star Cultivation Tower is not only capable of being worn by the innate realm, but also needs to assassinate an object that is a small realm higher than himself. In other words, even if the silver-faced killer is the cultivation base of the Qi Gang realm in the early innate stage, he has to kill a person with the cultivation base in the Qi Gang stage in the middle innate stage alone. It's just some green leaves, I can break it with a punch. Yi Hongchen looked at the green leaves flying towards him, couldn't help but shook his head. The next moment, he slowly punched out. Dragon Fist. A blood-colored light emerged from Yi Hongchen's fist, and the next moment, all the leaves flying towards Yi Hongchen were scattered, and an extremely powerful airflow rushed towards Lu Ying underneath. Lu Ying couldn't resist Yi Hongchen's punch at all and was knocked out alive. Hold head high. A sound of dragon chants came from his body, and the people who wanted to hold Lu Ying flew out. This is the result that Yi Hongchen didn't want to take Lu Ying's life, Otherwise, Lu Ying would have been killed when he came into contact with Yi Hongchen's punch. Call. Lu Ying wanted to stand up from the ground. A breeze blew past his ears, and Yi Hongchen stepped heavily on his chest. Lu Ying just couldn't move, let alone stand up. Hey, you just said, what's your name? I really can't remember the little guy's name. Yi Hongchen looked at Lu Ying's eyes and looked at him condescendingly, with a tone of despise. Mention the iron plate. Looking at Yi Hongchen, Lu Ying suddenly felt a little scared. He didn't even see when Yi Hongchen came down. Even how he was beaten up just now, he is still confused now. I'm a small person, so I won't tell you. Lu Ying said hurriedly after feeling that Yi Hongchen's feet were getting heavier. After hearing Lu Ying's words, Yi Hongchen nodded with great satisfaction, raised his foot, and walked towards the front of the crowd. Where he is, it is just the center of the crowd, and the last ones are obviously not innate. And many more. Yi Hongchen had just walked out a few steps when he heard Lu Ying's words again, stopped immediately, and looked at Lu Ying again. Why, do you want to die? That's a bounty. Having said this, Yi Hongchen couldn't help but think of a picture of being in the capital of heavenly clouds an hour ago. No, I don't mean anything else. I just want to ask Xiongtai your name. After hearing Yi Hongchen's words, Lu Ying shook her head hurriedly, almost as fast as a machine. Yi Hongchen heard the words and pondered for a while. After seeing the blood-red Shura ring in his hand, he smiled faintly and said Sura. After speaking, Yi Hongchen walked forward again, and the young disciples who were blocking Yi Hongchen's road gave way. Anyway, they also saw Yi Hongchen's combat power. Spike kill a sword gate's innate early Qi Gang realm. This is not something they can afford. Chapter 0122. The palace of absolutely arrived after Yi Hongchen walked away completely. The young disciples in that area breathed a sigh of relief. Why haven't this Shura's silver-faced killer ever heard of it? I don't know, but I know that he will definitely become a popular figure this time. A sword gate's early innate Qi Gang realm can definitely fight against the late inborn heavenly gang realm. It is reasonable. It seems that if we enter the ruins, we have to avoid this Shura. Otherwise, if he is killed by him, no one will help us. After Yi Hongchen came to the front, he found a clean place and leaned against a tree to observe. Ancient relics are generally protected by formations, and this blue protective formation seems to be uncertain at this time. From the location of Yi Hongchen, you can see the front, and in front of the pyramid, there's a barrier that exudes a blue light to isolate it. Time is strong and sometimes weak. The forces standing in the forefront are all working together to crack, and among them, the array mage is busy and exhausted. The formation mage, as the name suggests, is a practitioner who specializes in the formation of formations. At this time, a wind from above the sky suddenly blew. Flying monsters slowly flew down one after another. A group of very young disciples wearing purple gowns. If you look closely, you will see 2 white fringes on their shoulders. 3 middle-aged men in blue clothes and 4 teenagers in white gowns have red fringes on their shoulders. Of course, what Yi Hongchen noticed most was a middle-aged man wearing a black suit flying in the forefront. Although he was nearly middle-aged, the traces of years did not appear on him, and he still looked so handsome. If he had his beard crossed off, he might still be a handsome young man. Has Juechen Palace come? It's him who came. Yi Hongchen retracted his gaze and looked at his toes, feeling a little blocky in his heart. The leader, the only middle-aged person wearing black clothes, is the palace lord of Juechen Palace, Yi Tianju. Behind them were 3 inner door elders, including the Narcissus elders that Yi Hongchen had seen. The 4 wearing white clothes and red fringing on their shoulders are the core disciples of Juechen Palace. The 2 core disciples Yi Hongchen knew were his cousin Yi Lingyun and Mo Ran, the first genius of the Mo family. All the disciples behind were inner sect disciples. Although they were familiar faces, Yi Hongchen could not recognize their names. Look, it's the Palace of Absolute Dust. Our giant power palace of absolute dust. They are here, relying on the Sword Sect, the Vientiane Sect, and Qingyan Mountain. I don't know how long it will take to break this formation. Wow, Sure enough, the disciples of Juechen Palace are different. Even though I haven't seen their faces yet, I feel good looking. Hey, no matter how beautiful it is, can there be a female disciple of the Great Qin Palace? If I can get a female disciple of the Great Qin Palace, I will laugh to death in my dreams. Sure. You don't want to live anymore? You will be miserable if you hear it. Oh, it's a pity that Yi Hongchun of Juechen Palace is dead. I heard that his appearance is like a heavenly man. It's just that he's still a mortal person, and he is called the son of the earth. Yes, it's a pity that the rumors say that the worldly son covets the beauty of lichen fairy. I don't believe it. The earthly lord is definitely not such a person. After Yi Hongchun, the rest of the young people from various forces, even grassroots, recognized the people who had flown in, and they were the people of the Palace of Absolute Dust. Chapter 0123. He was trapped by a woman. It's these people who want to grab opportunities from us? I really don't know what we can do. Mo Ran stood on a flying monster, looked at the young disciples, and shook his head slightly in disdain. This time, the ruins, but the ancient powerhouse, where the Shura demon lord is located, must not be underestimated. Hearing Mo Ran's words, an inner door elder wearing a blue gown, the fifth elder, Mo Tong, suddenly became dissatisfied. Yes, although their strength is low, chances usually talk about fate. If they have fate, it is destined to be theirs. Although the third elder Narcissus was also a little dissatisfied with Moran, he was a disciple of Juechen Palace after all, so he also reminded him. Okay, I see. Isn't this about the power of our Juechen Palace? After Mo Ran heard the words of the two elders, including a fifth uncle who was still his own, he couldn't help putting away his contemptuous attitude, but there was still a look of disdain in his eyes. Yi Lingyun had a panoramic view of everything, and couldn't help but shook his head slightly, and said in his heart, although this ink dye is talented, but mentally, it is true that Yi Hongchun is not as strong as Yi Hongchun. It is a pity that Yi Hongchun. Yi Tianjue looked at the two great geniuses in the two Juechen Palace behind him, and his heart fell slightly. Junhao Yin, I allow you to live for another half a year. Yi Tianjue murmured, a loneliness that couldn't be dissipated in his eyes. In Yi Hongchun's sight, the people of Juechen Palace flew down mightily, and the crowd directly gave up an empty avenue for them to walk through. Hey, Xiongtai, are you wondering who this is? While Yi Hongchun was observing Juechen Palace, a woman with exceptionally beautiful appearance, dressed in white, and a blue-haired woman who was different from ordinary people walked in front of him. Yi Hongchun glanced at her, and his first impression was that he had seen it somewhere, but he was extremely sure that he had not seen this woman. Why look at me like this? Go. I'll take you over to C&C. While Yi Hongchun was thinking about it, this stunning woman directly grabbed Yi Hongchun's sleeves and walked towards the place where she was vacated. Yi Hongchun just wanted to shake her hand away. It was too late. He and the stunning woman had already passed through the crowd and came to the center of the road. So dead. Yi Tianjue just came here with Juechen Palace. And Yi Hongchun and this woman directly stopped in front of everyone in Juechen Palace. Who are these two people? They even dare to stop the road of Juechen Palace. I know the one wearing the silver face, Lu Ying, who just defeated the sword gate behind him. Yes, it seems to be called Shura, and he is also the silver-face killer of the star-picking tower. Yi Tianjue looked at Yi Hongchun, who was blocking the road, frowning involuntarily, and said, Silver-faced killer of star-picking tower? Could it be that you want my Yi Tianjue's life? Boom! As soon as Yi Tianjue said his words, everyone in this area felt as if they had been bombarded with nothing in their heads. Yi Tianju. Yi Tianju. That's the palace lord of Juechen Palace. In the past, only the name was known, but no real person was seen. Unexpectedly, I didn't expect that the leader of the Absolute Qin Palace today would be the palace master of the Absolute Qin Palace. It is conceivable that the owner of this ruin is so powerful. Thinking of this, some of the young disciples who thought they were pretty good were all in a mood. If they were given this opportunity, wouldn't it also be possible for a tyrannical figure like Yi Tianjue to look up. Yi Hongchen felt a little embarrassed when he heard Yi Tianjue's words and stared fiercely at the stunning woman next to him, just about to speak. Chapter 0124. Taking advantage just when Yi Hongchen wanted to speak, the stunning woman next to him suddenly walked out and rushed into Yi Tianjue's arms. "Master, it's been 2 months since I saw you, the disciple miss of you." The woman threw herself into Yi Tianjue's arms and said in a coquettish tone, "It turned out to be Ka. Who am I? So courageous he stopped in front of me." When Yi Tianjue saw the woman, her original serious expression suddenly became extremely affectionate, and she said incomparably coquettishly, Master doesn't want to be a disciple either. I see. Master doesn't want me as a disciple anymore." The woman heard Yi Tianjue's words, but she broke away from Yi Tianjue's embrace and said with a pouting mouth, "There's no such thing. It's just that Master is too busy these days, and I don't have time." Yi Hongchen looked at Yi Tianjue's loving look and felt like a father and daughter with that woman, and a touch of compassion could not help rising in his heart. Tears filled his azure eyes, as if he blinked once, and tears would fall. Yi Tian had never been so coquettish before, and Yi Hongchen herself had never been so coquettish like this woman. It can be said that Yi Hongchen and Yi Tianjue are not at all like a father and son, but more like a master relationship. Strange. I'm not his own son. His own son is dead. Why do I be like this? Yi Hongchen suppressed this emotion forcibly and slowly raised his head to keep the tears from falling. At the same time, the stunning woman just saw Yi Hongchen looking towards the sky and couldn't help but smile. "Boy, who told you to just hit me and snatch my mask away? I want you to look good later." Ning Shui couldn't help but feel happy at the thought of Yi Hongchen being taught by Yi Tianjue or even the scene of torture. That's right, this stunning woman, surprisingly, because of a misunderstanding, assassinated Yi Xuening, who had spent the night in Hongchen, but her real name was reversed. Who is this?" After Yi Tianjue finished chatting with Ning Shui, he looked at Yi Hongchen in front of him and asked, "Oh, Master, I was so happy to see you. I forgot about him." Hearing Yi Tianjue's questioning, Ning Shui ran over as if awakened and took Yi Hongchen's arm. "Master, this is the partner that the disciple is looking for. I have seen it, Shura." Yi Hongchen just removed the tears from his eyes and suddenly heard the words of Ning Shui and Yi Tianjue, and his body was shocked. "What the hell does this happen? You're going to tell the truth. I'm afraid that blocking the road will be enough to kill you." Yi Hongchen just wanted to tell Yi Tianjue that he had nothing to do with Ning Shui, but Ning Shui's voice came directly into his ears. Yi Hongchen heard the words, and the corners of his mouth suddenly raised, and he resumed the chat and laughter, like a mortal son who controls the life and death of others. "Yes, Yi Palace Master. Yi is Yi's partner, Shura," Yi Hongchen said without saying anything or not humbled towards Yi Tian. And then she kissed Ning Shui's lips directly in front of so many people. Ning Shui was immediately stunned and never expected that Yi Hongchen would dare to kiss her in front of so many people. Just about to push Yi Hongchen away, Yi Hongchen left her lips as if he knew her movements. "Palace Master Knight, without further ado, let's break the battle quickly." Upon seeing Yi Tianjue, he hadn't changed his face yet, and the people from the 3 first-class forces in front of him suddenly yelled at Yi Tianjue. After all, Yi Tianju had been here for a long time. And this Shura, you follow Elder Shui. Chapter 0125. The domineering Yi Tianju and this Shura, you follow Elder Shui. Hearing the words ahead, Yi Tianjue glanced at Yi Hongchen with a scrutinizing gaze, but didn't say anything more. "Come here." Elder Shui waved to Yi Hongchen and Ning Shui. Even if Ning Shui was so unwilling to do so, she could only walk to Elder Shui aggrievedly. After a little hesitation, Yi Hongchen also walked to Elder Shui's side. The group of people walked forward mightily, and then the crowd seemed to
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. R18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the Free Novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.